I'd like to begin with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any revisions?
We do not.
A summary of non-public actions from October 16, 2019. Mr. Burke made a motion to approve the non-public minutes of October 2nd, 2019. Mr. McDonald, second. Motion carried 5-0-0. This evening, I believe we have CHS Science Program with us.
That is correct. And we'll let Principal Lonergan kind of set them up.
So first of all, thanks for changing the way we present to the school board meetings. It's kind of nice to feature and highlight some of the things that are going on in the school. So I asked Kate Devine here, who's our science curriculum facilitator, back at the start of the school year, should be willing and interested in presenting on what's going on in science classes at Campbell High School. I'm really thrilled with one, with the teachers we have, and two, with the opportunities that we're providing to kids. And Kate and the group behind me are just doing a terrific job. So Kate, if you're ready.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us this evening. We're very happy to be able to show you some of the things that we're doing and what the students are doing. So
Before you begin, if either you or Ms. Lonergan, if you want to introduce the group who's here, and that way the people at home will know who's here.
yes.
Check it out.
Yes, sir.
And I'm
So I'd like to introduce the science team that we have going here today. Alphabetical order. We have Mr. Rahim Chowdhury. All right. He's our physics. He's engineering background. He's got a physics background, and he's teaching freshman science and forensics. We have myself, Catherine Devine, and I teach AP Bio, Honors Bio, some dual enrollment courses with Southern New Hampshire University. We have Mrs. Rosanna Dubé, who's teaching honors physics. She's also doing Running Start. Kids can get college credit through that as well. An organizer of the fund, which she might mention or say something about a little bit later. We have Mr. Shane Keys here, who is a Project Lead the Way biomedical science teacher. He's got the biology. He's got the environmental club. We have Mr. Bill Pothier, who teaches the most exciting course of Science of Natural Disasters. He's also the coordinator of STAR parties, which he may say something about later. And we have Mrs. Joanne Ray, who is our honors chemistry teacher, and she is on a number of committees, safety, advisory, and PERC. And we also have some guest students with us today. We have Michelle Freeman, who has taken many of these courses, and she's a senior. We have Izzy Rizzitano, who has also taken a few of these courses and is a junior. And we've got Elliot Gavrin, who's a senior, has taken many of these courses, and is also one of our departmental assistants, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I just wanted to give an overview of some of the courses that we do offer. Freshman science, there's an honors option. We have college preparatory honors biology, college preparatory honors chemistry, honors physics, honors anatomy and physiology. We have some fabulous electives, principles of biomedical sciences, forensics, science of natural disasters. We also offer some college level advanced placement courses, AP environmental science and AP biology. We hope to add some other exciting courses next year. We have course proposals that will hopefully be going forward to PERC. We have Principles of Engineering. It's a year-long course. It's Project Lead the Way, which this district has adopted because of its 21st century appeal and also preparing students for the jobs of this century, the 21st century. Mr. Chowdhury's already been trained on that this past summer. Another course, Human Body Systems, is the second level course for the biomedical pathway. And since we have started offering that course in the past 4 years, we've had 2 full courses, sections of it. So the students are signing up for it. They really, really do like it. So this would be a second level. And also we're looking to add another AP science course. Students have asked for it, and we didn't have it. And Mrs. Ray has been to training on AP chemistry. So we're hoping that will go through. So what do we think is our strength? Inquiry-based science. That's the kind of science where students need to formulate questions. They go out and gather information, evidence, data, so that they can form explanations to answer those questions. So we have a lot of activities where students are actually designing their own experiments, even at the freshman level. Okay. So we have some pictures of the students. There's Vanessa Magnifico, and she's part of the ecosystem project where they actually set up a little ecosystem. They try to balance it with the producers and the consumers. They monitor the data over a number of weeks, culminating in either a formal laboratory report. Some years we have them do a video log of their work. We use science notebooking. That is a practice of scientists. And so we encourage that and have them use that to record their data, to reflect upon their thinking. There's another picture there from the AP Environmental group last year where they were doing mini poster presentations and they're discussing their work. So just some pictures of some things going on there.
Just so you know, we can see the presentations on our laptop. We're not. I didn't want you to think that we're ignoring you. That's all.
Oh, thank you.
I have it right here.
Okay.
So
Modern technology. We keep adapting.
otherwise, I'm like that.
I was wondering about that actually. Okay.
We do have it.
We're there. All right. So part of the another aspect of it is modeling. Next gen science standards. Students need to build models. We don't know what the future holds. Let's get honest about that. So students have to be ready to face problems that we don't even know exist today. And one thing that's useful is build a model, see how it works. So we do modeling. We have been very fortunate from the board to get enough funding in the last several years to actually purchase some of these models that the students can use. Like that's a DNA model that they can build. Those generally run like $300 to $400 a piece. Yeah, so they're not cheap. You can see in the bottom slide there from a couple of years ago, we have AP students using the gel electrophoresis equipment that we've gotten so they can do they basically did an experiment where they ran DNA through the gel, and based on the pattern, they analyzed it to figure out which of the people in the scenario had a gene for colorectal cancer and which were carriers for the gene and which, of course, did not have the gene at all. So kids tend to get very, very excited. I'll let them talk later, whether they are or not, but I think that they get excited. Also, notebooking, I think, is very important. You can see some of the drawings and diagramming that they've done there in one of the exercises. There's another young man that has done a DNA extraction that would be done in like the biology class where they actually get a swab and they get to see their own DNA, just as Rosalind Franklin did back in the 1950s. So, and then of course we use microscopes. These are some comments from the students about some of our inquiry-based courses, Project Lead the Way courses, and these are quotes from the students. I enjoy the independent learning style. We figure out on our own, there's less lectures, we get to interact and work together. And now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Chowdhury to say a couple of words about his freshman science course and forensics.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Raheem Chowdhury. I'm the freshman science teacher at Campbell High School. The first thing I want to talk about is how one way this department is cohesive and supported. So I started at Campbell High School as freshman science teacher last year. I took over the position of Bill Pothier, freshman science. I want to talk about how I was able to learn a few instructional practices from him that allow for good student learning. On the left, you see a liquid nitrogen demonstration. This is a activity I was able to adopt from Bill Pothier. That really helped increase student interest in freshman science. We did this towards the beginning of the year when we were talking about units of measurement, specifically temperature. A lot of kids don't really have any issue with degrees Celsius, degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of kids are wondering, Chowdhury, what are instances where Kelvin might matter? So it was nice to be able to count on Bill to help me out with doing this demonstration. And what you see there is a magnet that has essentially become a superconductor and is floating in thin air. A lot of students were interested in that. A few have expressed wanting to research that for their honors option for freshman science, so that's great. On the right is an image from forensic science class. That is a blood spatter activity to see how the height that blood falls from affects how it looks like. That would usually be followed by a angle at which it falls activity and then a blood typing lab. So it's scaffolded towards a higher level. Thank you for your time.
I have to say the first week of school, my freshman walked into your class and he goes, I wasn't in honors bio. There was like a crime scene in there. So he was like all freaked out that he went in the wrong class, but to see the crime scene, that must be awesome for kids. That's great.
Yeah, we try to have fun and keep the rigor high. Thank you.
Thank you.
And chemistry matters.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joanne Ray. I'm the chemistry teacher at Campbell High. On the slide, what you see are 3 different experiments that students have been able to participate in. The one on the left-hand side, students were trying to determine what metal salt was within a water sample, and they were doing that by looking at different colors of flames. And they were trying to identify that unknown substance. So students really got into that experiment and had fun figuring out how they were going to determine what that unknown was. On the bottom right, this is a challenge lab that students are participating in. And what they're trying to do is they are trying to figure out how to separate a mixture into its component parts. So what you can see on the bottom there is they're using a magnet to separate iron filings from sand, salt, and then an unknown substance. So they have to use different physical properties to figure out how to do that. And then on the top right, what we have there is students who are participating in a stoichiometry lab, and this culminated with them being able to make s'mores. So there they are, they're toasting their marshmallows.
Probably a big hit.
Over the Bunsen flame. That was definitely a big hit, and it was a memorable experience that they could relate back to that the intended learning objective. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See a few things. All right, so I did want to just highlight the courses we're teaching. And when I started at Litchfield at Campbell High School, the superintendent said, rigor. You need to bring rigor into the science department. So I took that as a marching order for the last 6-7 years. So some of the progress we've made is we've added AP level courses. Our test scores, the students are scoring very well. I believe we had a 90% pass rate, or beat the global numbers, but so it was great. Project Lead the Way, I'll show you the next slide, talks about the rigor and the contextualization that happens in that course because it's an application, hands-on type of course. Running Start, Mrs. Dubé teaches Running Start where the students can get college credit through the MCC. Right. Yeah, so we have that going on. And we have 3 courses also that I'm certified as an adjunct faculty member for Southern New Hampshire University. So the students that are taking honors anatomy this year, AP environmental science, and when we offer AP biology, they can get credit through SNU as well and get a college transcript, which the colleges really do appreciate seeing them taking AP and college level courses before they graduate. They look upon that favorably when they're looking at admissions. So I put this graphic here. This comes from Project Lead the Way. It's adapted from Daggert's idea of rigor. And on the left-hand side, you see Bloom's level of learning. Okay, and we now are using, of course, depth of knowledge, but I think this is still relevant. Awareness and understanding and application being some of, the first steps in understanding and developing knowledge. And then analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, some of the higher order thinking. We call that the hot thinking. And then if you go along on the application model, again, the first steps in developing skills is knowledge and applying that, and then being able to apply it across numerous disciplines. Next generation science standards expects us to have cross-cutting concepts, which we are been working on in the science department even more. As you go further to the right of the application model, the ability to apply this knowledge to predictable, real-world, authentic tasks. Okay. And then at the far end, ability to apply this to unpredictable or unexpected kinds of real world situations, which is really what we need to prepare our students for. You can see that Project Lead the Way courses, because of the way they are designed, has high context and also high rigor. AP courses definitely have high rigor, and traditionally they have not had the same amount of context, although with the new AP science curriculum, they have gone to more of an inquiry-based model, so there is a lot more context in that. And then just some pictures of students, again, doing some DNA analysis and an ecosystem. He looked so intrigued there. I had to include that.
Kind of smiling.
To get some good shots. And now Mr. Keys is going to talk a little bit about the biomedical and Project Lead the Way course.
Good evening. My name is Shane Keys. I'm the biomedical teacher at Campbell High School. PLTW, we adopted biomedical science in the school year of, I think it was 15-16. Miss Devine, she taught it for 2 years, and I've taught it the last 2 years. And it's really one of the more dynamic courses that we offer at Campbell High School. It all starts out with a fictional crime scene. This is the first day of school, the kids come in and there's a crime scene. And we have this fictional character, her name is Anna Garcia. And we go about analyzing the crime scene data, and we do labs associated with that. But the techniques and skills that they learn are all derived from what people are doing in industry. So they're getting hands-on skills that they could be potentially using in the next 6 years. And it just modeling, analyzing crime scene. We have dissection, notebooking. It really covers the scope of what we're trying to do in our program. And I know Raheem, he's super excited. He got to do the training last year. The training is a 2-week training over the summer. He was down in WPI. I did mine at UMass Lowell 2 years ago. And it is intensive, and it's 2 weeks. It's 8 to 5 p.m. every day for 2 weeks, and you go through all of the activities and the learning and the understanding that the students will do. So you get to be in their footsteps, and I've been able to use what I learned from actually doing that stuff and being able to apply that and help our students. But PLTW is very exciting.
Big touch it. Is it 12 minutes or 13?
We're a little bit long right now, but
So,
Doing good.
a couple of minutes. All right. So I want to talk about individualization and mentoring of our future scientists, some of whom are right behind us. Okay. So we have started, there's field trips, Girls Tech Day, Women in Science Technology, other field trips, star parties. Mr. Pothier instituted that. It's a great opportunity. And we have what we call Departmental Assistance. Okay. And they are lab assistants, teaching assistants, and hopefully they are gaining a lot of good skills. I was a departmental assistant in college myself, and I learned a lot. So I wanted to highlight the Zebrafish Senior Project. This started last year with Zach Rousseau, and the top picture on the right-hand side, he got the zebrafish tanks set up and ready to go. This is independent. I don't tell them what to do. They got to research it. They come and they ask me, I said, yes, you can do that. Or no, let's think about it a different way. So I'm just their mentor. And Mr. Keys is also all of us mentor. This year, we've got Taylor Beeren and Elliot Gavrin, and they've gone to the next step of figuring out they had to grow the brine shrimp to feed the baby zebrafish and get the zebrafish to make more zebrafish. So it's kind of a complicated process. It's the kind of thing that real scientists do. And we've already got our junior lined up who's been feeding the zebrafish during advisory. And I said, hey, maybe next year. She goes, yeah, I'm interested. So just wanted to talk about that. And come full circle, we really want to emphasize growth mindset, students learning 21st century skills, solving real problems. Here I have a picture of Liv and Sydney, end of AP Bio. I said, you guys got to design your own experiment. I had some bacteria that make pigments. They said, we want to work with that. They learned. I taught them how to use sanitary. They painted. They got the bacteria to grow. A lot of science and a lot of research involved in doing this. They got the bacteria to grow. They found ways to extract the pigment from the bacteria, and then they used it to paint a picture. I mean, this stuff is amazing. So I just wanted to highlight some of that. And I know we're running out of time, right? So we got to love the challenges, be intrigued by mistakes, enjoy effort, and keep on learning. And thank you. And it's time for questions and answers.
I love that you're all here as a team. I think that's awesome. I really, really, you seem all to work well together, learn from each other.
It sounds like some pretty exciting stuff, too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take your class.
I totally do.
I know. And I wasn't even a science
I wouldn't
kid,
do the
really.
forensic class too.
we hear that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
I'd be so much better.
I think exactly.
32
I think
years later, I'd be so much better.
Yeah, I would be a much better student with you as my teachers.
Can I ask my students?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you folks would like to say this evening?
Oh, yeah, they all want to say something. They all will say something. Yeah, stand up. You want to come to the mic?
Do you want to come up? Come on up.
You should really come up
Yes.
to the mic.
Yes. You can.
That
you
way
can
the
all-
1 million
wanna all
people
go
at home
up?
can hear you.
Yeah.
Read the numbers.
All right, so I'm Michelle Freeman. I'm a senior at Campbell High School. And like Ms. Devine mentioned earlier, I've taken a lot of the courses that were mentioned here. I think I took AP Biology last year, and that was one of my favorite classes that I've taken at Campbell. And when Ms. Devine mentioned about the gel electrophoresis, while I was doing it, I felt like a real scientist because it's like actual DNA, and it was awesome. And we got to do, there was a lot of different elements of that lab, and we got to do like a pedigree, which is like a family tree, and just combine it all together. And then I don't know if we did a formal lab report we did a formal lab report.
You did at least one in the year.
Yeah. And I just, from that course and from the other courses, I feel really prepared to take science classes in college and become a scientist in the future.
Did you think you were prepared for the AP test? Did you take the AP
Yeah,
test?
I did. I got a 5 on it. So not trying to brag, but
That's our magic number. That's awesome. Good for you.
But I want to thank Ms. Devine for, she really,
That's
while I was taking the
fantastic.
course, I didn't feel like I was studying to the test, which I feel like in some schools, it's like AP classes, like you're studying for the test. That's all you're doing. But I felt like I was actually doing labs throughout the year. And through doing that, I was learning the material in the test.
Fantastic.
Makes it a little more fun.
Yeah.
I really have to speak to like how I feel that the application, like to practically use the skills we're using in these science classes, I've seen like consistently throughout all the courses I've taken. Both this year and last year, I have decided to take 2 science courses just because I really like the opportunities it's giving me. So starting freshman year, I had the opportunity in my freshman science class with Mr. Pothier to conduct some honors options, and we could choose any kind of event that we wanted to. And I'm a very avid skier, so I chose the fact that there's often like these identified 5-year cycles within the snow patterns where you'll go like 5 years having like this very big winter. And according to the pattern, we're supposed to have another big one this year. And I researched that, and there's a reason for it. There's this thing called La Niñas and El Niños that happen down in the around the equator, and based on the ocean, it can really affect the snow that we get up here in the north. And I got to present to the class on that. And then the second semester, I did another presentation about altitude sickness. So I kept, the same theme going. And there were things that I'd seen in my own life, and I really liked that I had the opportunity to scientifically research that. And then last year in Biomedical Science, we got to do gel electrophoresis as well, which was very cool because it's something that is practical. Like on a blood test, you're seeing those same genes that we were learning about in those class, like on a paper, and they're real. And something that I looked at and I went, wow, like the same thing that I went to the doctor's office for, I learned this past year in science. And I just thought that that's something I can't get anywhere else.
That's fantastic.
Excellent.
That's great.
We'll talk about AP Bio.
Yeah. So within my high school career of taking science courses, what really been stressed in science courses is the material, yes, but not only just the material. We stress strategies to prepare people for the future, for college, for example, with promoting good study habits and note-taking throughout all of our science courses. Going to AP Bio, it wasn't just about, basic or advanced biology. It was a lot of different subgroups of biology. We did bioinformatics. We have done gel electrophoresis, as we've talked to before. So it's not just a cookie cutter thing. It's a really interesting and branching subject that we were all able to kind of dip our toes into.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for coming and speaking.
In this department, science, always question, always wonder, and do the activities that allow you to arrive at those answers. This is science by doing. And I've been in many other schools. I've not seen better.
I have to say, like this, you all just blew me away.
Yeah.
I go through times where I think, oh my gosh, we're doing amazing things in our schools, and then I go through other times where I'm like, we really have a long way to go.
I think we've come a long way.
We have come a long way, and it's thanks to the dedication and passion of you educators, and I feel in a good place right now.
Yeah, we're up here.
Yeah. So thank you for coming in and sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Izzy, I texted your mother to tell you we're on TV.
Very excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Put me down for 7:50.
Put you down for
7:50
Okay.
on the 25th.
Thank you.
It says you can book conference.
I already had it.
Double conference. I live out in the Seacoast, so it's a bit of a drive. Have a good night.
My name is Ron Doobie. I'm connected with her over there, the chemistry teacher. And from what the stories that I hear, when she gets home, I conclude that you have an excellent school system run the way it should be. I'm a 40-year retired teacher. I've been around a little. I've been in some not so good ones and some good ones. And from what I hear, this is a
Oh, thank you.
good job.
That just
Thank you.
keeps me right up on that plateau.
Thank you.
We're in good shape. Okay, so
Don't
let's
keep
end the
us
meeting
up
on
here.
that note. I know, right?
That was perfect. Just enough that you didn't lose my attention.
Awesome. Yes.
Cheers.
That was
Cheers.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I will say,
Impressive.
it's been a focus of mine as a science department over the last 4 years. And unfortunately, we have strong teachers, but we have Bill, who was CF for a while, Kate off and on as CF. They are just doing a really nice job of creating a cohesive group of faculty, working really hard for kids. So,
That team
What
is
happened?
just seems so tight
Yeah.
and
yes,
cohesive.
Yep.
It's great.
yeah, it's terrific.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks
So-
for fixing
yeah.
Pat.
So there are two other things really quickly I just wanted to sort of gloss over a little bit. Where we just went through the National Honor Society induction, sophomore, senior projects, lots of volunteerism, and it's really difficult. And so one of the things we're looking at is, sophomore projects and how much value do they add? One of the things they do is it makes it that much more difficult for kids to find how they can allocate hours of the service work that they're doing across the various places. So it's not specifically targeting sophomore projects, but certainly we have kids that do a lot of amazing work out there in the communities, and they're finding difficult ways to sort of allocate those hours, particularly when we don't allow them to double dip. So I just want you to have a sense of that. And second is PSATs. We just took the tests. The results will be in early December. I'm excited to have now a second year with 8th, 9th, and 10th graders to really start looking at data across all the grade levels. So, and at the same time, when we did the PSATs, we provided some opportunities for the seniors to do some other career interest stuff and see a couple of motivational speakers, which is really helpful. So, just wanted to make sure you heard about those things.
And Bill, just on the senior, because you shifted it a little bit this year.
Yeah.
Last year it was sort of out college visits. This year it was all in-house.
This year was all
Summarize it.
in-house. We had people talking about resumes and cover letters. We had the recruiters in case students were interested in talking with them on that. We had Bill Hicks talking about career interest inventories and things of that nature. And then we had Chris Sullivan, who was a former New England Patriots football player, and his wife, who they had a daughter who, this was really important for seniors, a daughter who passed away senior year in high school based on some unfortunate decision-making that she did.
In my hometown.
And so they reach out and try to inspire kids to make sure that senior year they're making healthy decisions. So it was great to see the two of them speaking to kids. And it's funny because afterwards, the kids still wanted to hang out and talk with them and touch base and have a sense of that. So I think it was rewarding for us to do that.
Did you feel like it was a better move to go in-house rather than have kids
I
do their
like
own?
both ways.
Yeah.
I like giving them the opportunity to go maybe to see a UNH or go out and check out some of the tech community colleges and technical colleges. I think there's value in both. I'll work with Jody and say, what are we thinking for next year? Do we want to go out again or do we want to stay in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, going back to the sophomore project,
Yeah.
are you looking at maybe tweaking that or streamlining, or because my daughter's in that boat right now. She's doing her sophomore project. She
Right.
also needs to get on volunteer hours for Tri-M,
Correct.
and then she wants to do the National Art Society,
Absolutely. Right.
National Honor Society. So that's another. I'm assuming that's another community.
It is. It is. And then once, okay, so I have to have hours for Tri-M.
Right.
I have to have hours for National Arts. I have to have hours for National Honor Society. I have my sophomore project that I need to get done, which is 30 hours. It's somewhat challenging for kids to to sort of allocate hours across where they are and where they want to be. Now, the advisors are good about providing some of those opportunities for them to do those things. At the same time, we're expecting the kids to do some advocacy and do some work on their own.
Yeah.
So, I like the sophomore project. It is a citizenship service project. But there's always questions about a service project when you're forcing someone to do it. What's the value of that?
So what
You
does Merrimack do? They have a day that they go out in the community. That to just a day. I believe Mr. Perez's wife, is that for sophomores or is that for seniors?
I'm not sure how they do it. I know at my former school, they had a youth day of giving. And it wasn't everyone because 3,000 students.
Yeah.
But they had a number of students who volunteered. They were released from their classes for a day. They went out in the community. They built a porch, or they helped clean out someone's garage, or they cleaned trash up along one of the major roadways and things like that. And it was service hours.
It's still
It
giving
wasn't
back.
dedicated at my school for any particular purpose.
Do most schools have 2 years of projects? Because actually, the feedback I got from some folks was more about the senior project,
Right.
and that it would be really nice if that type of project was a little bit earlier, so that folks could use that as part of their college applications.
And what we're doing actually is the senior project coordinators are looking at the opportunity of allowing juniors to start it midway through their junior year. Okay, because you want to get a jump on that process, and because it would reflect in a college application essay or a college
It's an
application.
interesting point.
essay.
I know.
Correct. Yeah, and it's that break between sophomore year and senior year. So we've just struggled a little bit with.
Is there a community service aspect to the senior project?
No, it's a passion project.
Okay.
It's what interests you. It's what you're really interested in learning more about or getting involved with.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, and that's what I prefer it
Yes.
to be. So.
Yep. So you'll see kids who rebuild motorcycles or
Yeah.
have a car or
Perfect.
work in a nursing home or go to, a child care center and work there.
Yeah.
So for
I found my son doing his sophomore project between his freshman and senior year. We volunteered. He did we did it together at a pantry, and it really was good for him to get out of the Litchfield bubble. But we did it the summer before.
Yeah.
So he was too young to have a job. So his job was to go and work in the food pantry.
anything else?
Yeah, just one thing, because you mentioned, seniors make wise choices.
Yeah.
I think it's important that they start making wise choices as early as possible, freshman, sophomore, because then by the time they are seniors, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife, that's one of the things she says to our kids every single time they go out, make wise choices.
Mhm.
And I think it's so important. So let's not wait till the senior year to make
No,
wise
no, no.
choices. It's
Did only the seniors see them?
That day, only the seniors did because
They've come
everyone else was
before.
testing.
Oh, they've come before. I saw them.
Yeah, and the nice thing was we got to a lot more students with the challenge day last year. So we've got it going this year,
Good.
and we're going to get to a larger number of students this year. So I'm really excited about that because that message comes
Yep.
early on for a lot of our kids.
Yeah.
Are you going to invite faculty from the other two schools? When I participated in my district, we had elementary school teachers that made impacts on some of these kids. The principal from the middle school was there. I think it shouldn't just be about the high school. Some of the other
It's not
schools should,
Yeah.
even if it's a guidance counselor.
Well, I'll talk to Tom and Scott about that and see if they'd be willing to release a couple of teachers for a day.
For themselves.
Is that on the books? Is that scheduled?
I think Mike's got it scheduled, and I think
Okay.
it's in March, but I don't know.
I believe it's in March. That's what I heard.
One day,
3
No,
days.
3 days.
no, 3.
Last year was 1, only because we got a tail end when.
We
Back on
we
Hudson.
bid off with somebody else. Yep.
And then we'll go to a 2-year cycle.
Yeah, that's the plan. Alternate use.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Anything else?
No.
I just had a question from your report,
Sure.
the SNHU Memorandum of Understanding, just so I can understand. I know we also have relationships with Pinkerton and Alvern and VLAX, and can you give me just a quick, what is each used for? I mean, SNHU, I think that's AP. They were
That's
talking about some of the AP
AP
classes.
calculus, yep, or the environmental or biology, you can get credit through those dual credits. So you have to enroll in a course that's new.
Yeah.
Okay, basically pay $100, I think is what it is. And then when you go through the class, because Kate is essentially been approved by the college to teach the course, any kid who goes through that course and gets a B or better average gets credit for the course at SNU.
It's pretty
Okay.
cheap.
And that's the only college right now that we have. a
Correct.
relationship. Okay.
Yep, yeah.
All right.
There's also
we
NCC,
also,
right?
say that again?
Manchester Community.
Manchester,
Manchester
yeah, we have
Community.
students who are also
Okay.
doing dual enrollment classes, okay? So they have the opportunity to go, for example, the end of your senior year, when you basically used up all your courses here, you can travel out to MCC or NCC and take courses there, get credit at Campbell, and also get credit at the community college as well. And the nice thing about the community colleges, they transfer over to the state universities and the state schools.
Okay. And so VLAX is not a college credit.
VLAX
That's
is high school,
kind of
that's high school
alternative
credit.
program.
It's an approved high school, so a student who wants to go there, we typically don't allow them to take courses we offer on VLAX. Although
sense.
occasionally when there's scheduling conflicts and we can't fit it in.
Which is why my son's taking statistics. There was no other way for him to take that class.
Okay.
So he's doing it on VLAX, and I've met the teacher online. It's fantastic.
Okay. And then Alvern versus Pinkerton.
Those are your career and technical education programs. So those are students who, for
Different types of
example,
programs.
might be taking an LNA certification course, or a health science technology course, or they may be taking a heavy duty mechanics course. Alvin offers those. Our kids have the opportunity. Pinkerton, we have kids who are doing similar things, electrical program, building and construction trades. So they'll
They
go
have
there.
different programs.
It's high school credit for the CTE programs. In some cases, they get certifications. Okay, so they'll end up taking a test at the end and are certified. So there are some of those opportunities as well.
Great. Thank you.
I have one more question. Do you know those 3 stipend positions you brought up?
Yes.
Are you going to be replacing older stipend positions that aren't filled or aren't?
I think that's part of the negotiation process, but
Okay.
we have a number of positions we haven't filled in.
Like a chess club or a
Yes.
debate club, like you could,
Well, there's things like 3-on-3 basketball.
Yeah, so
there's-
we actually have a committee that's gone through and has identified about $26,000 of unused positions that are in the collective bargaining.
okay,
And so then we've added in
those 3.
asks from actually all 3 schools. You're going to see a little bit later on in this list.
Oh, okay.
There's some job descriptions that go with some
I
of the
saw those,
asks
yeah. I
across the
just-
3 schools. And then take the remainder of that money and use it to increase the salaries, because the salary lines or the stipends haven't been adjusted in
They're
10
very
years.
low.
10 years.
I agree.
So we're hoping that we can infuse some of the money back into making those adjustments and make the offerings more relevant.
Oh, that's awesome. Instead of just adding your in lieu of, awesome, great.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank
great.
you very much.
All right,
Have a
thank
good
you.
evening.
Good night, everyone.
Great job. 35 minutes.
I'll take that.
Me too.
So that brings us to correspondence.
Have not received anything.
So are
Addressed.
is our email functioning now?
Yes, it should be. Yes.
So then we'll bring us to superintendent.
Yeah, so a couple of quick things for the board. So actually, I should have said this while Bill was here, but the high school sort of led the way by putting out a parent contact chart. They were trying to make sure that they could communicate clearly to families. If there was something they needed help with, who would they go to? And I had some very positive reactions to that. And so I brought it to the admin team and challenged the other schools to develop a contact chart, because I said, this is helpful to our families. And so now GMS and LMS took that, tailored it, because they're 3 individual buildings and different needs. But we have a contact chart at each school. And we've added it so that the viewing public knows and the board knows that if you go to each school website on the left-hand side of the main face page, there's sort of a series of links. So for example, the menu is now there because that's one of the most popular things for people to look at. There's also a list that says parent contact chart. And so parents who are frustrated by something and they're not sure who to contact, click that link and it'll bring you right to that school site, and it will show you who would be best to help with a busing issue or a special ed issue or a discipline issue or whatever. So
My only question on that is that they weren't totally consistent. Like the GMS had the position titles and then names of people.
Yep.
And then at the high school level, they were just position names. And just position names are fine as long as you can find those people on the website using that
Right.
like search, you know?
So GMS went ahead and put the names in there because they thought, in some cases, people aren't even aware of what somebody's title is. They know people more versus the high school felt, and they developed it originally that people know who's in those roles. So, but that's certainly something we can look at if we get feedback that it's confusing or people aren't able to go that next step.
Just as long as they're searchable.
Yeah, they are.
The Adventure Club at GM, I'm looking at the GMS.
GMS,
site.
yep.
Is that the after school program?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was unclear to me because I've always called it the after school program.
Yes.
Nope. As somebody who had a kid go through there, I would know that that's the right.
Yeah. Okay.
But we can suggest after school.
Yeah.
Put in parentheses.
The only one that worried me a little bit is the middle school listing athletic director.
Yep.
I think I would get in touch with the high school athletic director, and I thought we've made it clear he's not responsible for that.
He's not though, is
So
he?
under athletics, it says athletic director. They have their own. They have.
I know. I'm just wondering.
Yep.
Will that be a link so they know who to go to so they don't call the high school athletic? That's
That's a good point.
I would call the high school athletic director.
Yep.
If it was me, I would just.
That's a good point. We can tweak.
That was the only thing I saw when I looked at it.
And actually, they have two teachers do it as a split stipend. So there are two people in that role, and we can adjust that.
There were also two positions. I remember one was the nurse, and what was the other that didn't have a backup? It was just that person. I feel like every position should have a backup. I feel
There's always the nurse there. The nurse might be legal.
there's always a nurse.
But the nurse might be
Okay.
illegal. They might not be able to talk to anybody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then food service Lauren says she wants them to contact her directly just so that we don't have people moving in 8 different directions.
Right. But she would just be the first point of contact if there's an issue
Right.
after that. Corey then.
So that I think it's actually an improvement. I think it'll help our families to
I
know.
agree.
And I think having it in a consistent place, because initially the 3 schools had it in a different place on each website. So when
Yeah,
I
that's great.
pointed that out to the team, they're like, yeah, I mean, parent at the elementary who gets used to it being here shouldn't have to look somewhere else when they go up to the middle school. So those are the systematic things that we're trying to really streamline. And it's hard because we have 3 different webmasters designing this. So then we have to clearly say, put it here, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're putting it where they think would make sense and not thinking about the other. So we're making inroads on it. So the next item is the special election update. So obviously last Tuesday, I just want to thank the voters who turned out. I think that, 1,100 plus voters was a good turnout. And, it was 104 votes that separated the yeses from the nos, which I think we didn't have a request for a recount of it because I think 100 plus spread is enough that that the yeses took the day. And so, this is the right thing to do for our teachers. And we are now quickly trying to get this in place so that we can take care of back pay that we owe and future planning based on this. So we're moving as fast as we can. Right now, the LEA has a copy of the master agreement with all of the TA language. So you take all that TA language and you now have to incorporate it into a new master agreement. They are editing that and are working to get that back to us. We're given a deadline of this Friday. It may take into next week, but that's okay because we'll have it. We'll get it signed off, and then we still have several stages. We then, once we have the master agreement in place, we then have to reissue individual contracts, right? So every teacher's contract had old dollar amounts. We have to reissue those, get them all handed back in again. And then once that's done, there's a ton of work with our finance software package to make sure that we are able to figure out new pay rates going forward, plus back pay that is owed. So our eye is on a December 12th payroll to have this all taken care of. So, but it's definitely a relief for us to know where we're headed and have this done.
Where are we right now as far as submitting to the state the information they need as far as for the tax rate?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So actually what we have here, and this needs to come around. So this is the MS-22 that the school board needs to sign. And so this has the updated numbers in it. And so this will be signed tonight. Corey has been uploading information into DRA. So basically DRA has a website and we have to upload information, meeting minutes, all of the stuff. Like they want us to prove that, yes, the voters have said yes to this. So you last talked to DRA, I think on Tuesday that I knew of. Did they get everything, Corey, or are they still waiting?
They're waiting for that.
They're waiting for this. This is the
So
last.
I will upload that tomorrow and then I'll work with them to finish out my side of it.
And do they need it? There's also a sheet that needs to be signed by the budget committee tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
The MS-27.
Yep.
Is that necessary to set the tax rate?
I do not believe so, but it'd be good to have it uploaded just so we have all the documents.
So this is the last piece. It'll be uploaded tomorrow and then they'll be able to proceed. And
for the record, from what DRI was telling me on the phone yesterday, we are not alone. There is a lot of this, they're behind. So we're not significantly later than a lot of towns in the state because of our special election. We're pretty much right in line.
I suspect that the late budget pass, I mean, having the state budget being passed in September probably set people back a bit too.
Yeah.
We didn't notice it as much because we had an even later thing, but I suspect that's why. I know I have not seen a tax bill at home yet, so, and that's unusual. So I'm thinking it may be tied to that too. So we'll get this signed and then.
It sounds like we're right in line too, as far as the time frame where the town had talked to us as far as it getting there, having the 30 days and where it would fall as far as tax.
And I spoke with the tax collector, town clerk on Tuesday, because I wanted to see if there had been a recount challenge. And there hadn't been. There was one individual who came in and inquired about the election, wanted to know how was it counted, so forth. And at the end of that, decided there was not a need to do a recount. So that window has passed. And she's aware of all the steps we're taking to get this done. So I offered SAU assistance. I said, I don't know what you need to do, but if you need people to fold things, stuff things, put stamps on things, let us know. We've got people who can help with that. And so she was grateful for that.
Yeah.
And I also, just on the special election, I want to publicly thank all the election workers that day. I mean, that's a long day to be ready to go at 7 a.m. The election workers were setting up in that gym at 6 o'clock the night before to, get everything up and going, and then working all day at the poll. I want to thank the board members who spent the day there, filling the role of observer, I guess, because that was huge. Just the town really came together to make this happen and to make it work. And so much appreciated.
And we had to be there. It wasn't
Right.
optional. We had to be there as school board members. I hope the public knows that
Yeah,
we just
so-
didn't want to, we were hanging around there all day.
So by law, you have to have, typically at the town election where the school board, I mean, we're sort of riding the coattails of the town election every year, right? And so the select board will be there to represent, to make sure that the election is going smoothly as observers. And so this time, because it was a school election, they asked the school board to be there and to be present. And you have to be inside the rails. You have to be at a point where you can see what's going on, but not looking over somebody's shoulder to see how they're voting, obviously. You have to give that privacy piece, but still be able to observe everything that's happening with the flow. So you're absolutely right. You needed to be there all day.
Because I think there was some confusion there.
The only other question I had, just for clarification for people that were listening, because it seems to be something that's come up a few times. Does the town do anything differently than what we did as far as advertising for the election?
In March?
How do you mean?
The one in March. Well, people say that they didn't know there was an election. And I'm just wondering if the town does anything different than what we did as far as going through the HLN, union leader, posting at the schools, posting at town hall.
So you heard from people saying that they didn't know that there was an election. Wow. Okay.
So I guess to answer that, Brian, I mean, a couple of things. People generally think about voting in March because that's when elections tend to be. So I think there's a mindset that we vote in March. We vote in November, like many, of course, we didn't have an election this November, but many cities did. right? And we have a big one next November, so it'll be a huge turnout that day. So people associate those election days. I think voting on October 29th was unusual, right? So that's not a normal time to vote. So we took the extraordinary steps of the big orange signs, which were donated, by the way, by a local company who I saw the signs out there and I thought they're advertising like the fire parade or something.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's see if we can use those now. And so, they were strategically moved in 4 locations around town. So everybody I talked to acknowledged they saw those. I didn't find anybody who said, I missed the orange sign.
Right.
I couldn't miss it. So I think we did extra things above and beyond to compensate for the fact that we were out of the normal cycle. The HLN, my gosh, the week before was just dedicated to the gentleman from Hudson who passed away, but then to the special election. So it was sort of a dual split between those two stories. So I don't know what else we could have done. And it was, my gosh, the social media presence too. I mean, even have the weather woman to come in to interview us. And so, What's Up Litchfield had info on there and lots of dialogue. So I don't know what else we could have done.
In some ways, I feel like it was better advertised than in March.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah,
going to say. It
yeah.
seems that I mean,
Maybe
like
it's
you
just
say,
people-
there's an election in March, there's one in November. I don't know exactly what the day is, but I mean, it seemed like the date for this election on the 29th was out there.
Well, it was out there. I mean, it was delayed at one point, but we've been talking about this since we reached the agreement in June. So we had a deliberative session, we had budget hearings. Every step of the process was advertised.
And then the last thing is the link to the special election costs. So we've been asked over and over by the public. And so we have the final cost. So going into the election, we were estimating about $13,000. When all was said and done, the cost of the election was $12,607.47. And, in the grand scheme of getting a teacher's contract passed, that's a very minor amount, I think, to pay. And that included us, going through all the steps we needed to run the election, advertise the election. And so,
Mike, I think it's important to point out while we're saying that a small cost to pay, most of that cost would have been incurred in March anyways for the renegotiated contract.
well, so what's not included in that, it's a great point. We had about $10,000 or about $11,000 in negotiation costs that are not included with that because we would have paid that anyway.
Yeah.
So that's just the cost of running the election, advertising the election. But we made smart choices along the way. I mean, so for the first time in a long time in Litchfield, we had a paper ballot that had to be hand counted because people had to check a box. But if we had done the Scantrons, it would have been about a $3,000 cost to produce Scantron ballots for the machine to read them.
And then you have to pay for the machines.
And
Cost for those.
to get them programmed and so forth. Whereas, we spent about $180 on ballots and made 2 piles at the end of the night. So, we did what we could to save costs for the taxpayers.
Just make sure we say we didn't make 2 piles at the end of the night.
Right.
No,
Ballot clerks did.
okay, I'm joking when I say that, but you're obviously just counting yeses and nos at the end of the night, which was hand done, not by the school board or anybody who was associated with the school board.
Vanished
but-
to the corner.
Yeah, we're sent to a corner.
Good point. Thank you. Yep. All right. So next up, funding update. So we just had a conversation with the Capital Planning Committee. What we're trying to do is to piece together all the funding sources that we have coming, just to make sure that we understand what we have and what we might be able to do. So I think at this point, Corey's got a 1-pager that sort of breaks some of this out. We also are looking at, the town has some impact fee money that's been collected. And so it's allowing us to better understand what we might be able to do with building projects. And so there'll be more coming to the board on that. Report cards and IC portal update. So based on feedback that the board has given to us, we've moved to a different process this year. So we did not shut the portals down. We communicated to parents that they would be seeing, the sausage being made, the grades being calculated. And so far, I've not had any concerns or complaints that have been issued. I think people have understood what is happening there. But we're going to get feedback on how this went, and then we'll go
There
from
were no
there. So
surprises for me as a parent.
there were none?
No, because it was just the way they said this, on this day you look at it and it should be all up to date and your kid can still participate and stuff. Yeah, I think it's great.
Did anybody else have any concerns or hear of any?
Middle school.
It was
no.
also, I get the updates every time a grade is updated or an assignment is graded and inputted. And it was, it really opens your eyes to how much our teachers work overtime, outside the school day, because this past weekend, I got over 100 notifications of grades going in for 2 kids.
Yep.
But, I think it was great to see.
Excellent.
And as long as you have the patience to wait it out until everything settles down.
That's just
and-
it. That's what we talked about. It's like,
Yeah.
it's give me a snapshot as long as you're ready.
Date,
Right.
Yeah.
So on co-curricular job description, so we have some to share with you tonight. And basically, these are the new activities that are being proposed. And I'll walk through them one by one with the board. So the first is the GMS Books and Bites Advisor. And basically, this is a lunchtime book club that meets. And it takes place during the school day, which makes it a little bit unusual, but it's during staff members' lunchtimes. So they are dedicating their lunchtime in order to bring this club and activity forward to the students. And it's grade 4 that participates in it. So
They have
Is this
that
similar? I
already.
was going to say, well, I think they use the librarian, like during lunches. I think they did like last year or the year before.
Oh, really?
They would come in at lunchtime and get them like 15 minutes early, whatever, and bring them into the library or bring them into another room to read. So they were doing some form of this before.
They also do Battle of the Books.
That's what I was confused
That might
with.
be the thing.
But it's not.
No.
And there was an art one too. I thought they did. They pull the kids out of lunch early. And
No, I don't know about that one.
So the committee reviewed it and recommended that it be a tier 1 activity, which aligns it with the tier 1 salary. By the way, that's currently $888.64. The committee's working to adjust that salary, as I said, by taking money from the activities that aren't meeting and infusing those in.
What do they, excuse me,
Yep.
what do other districts pay for stipends? I have no idea.
So it really varies district to district.
Okay, so you'll
when you
work
look
on
at
that.
it.
Okay.
We have this 4-tier system. So tier 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are sort of allocated by what the district expects a person to do relative to a commitment of time.
Okay.
And so I think tier 1 goes up to 50 hours of time
Oh, that
over
makes
the
sense.
course of the year.
Okay.
And so this is one activity is being presented. And you can see the advisor and then the job description that's laid out. And this came through the principal, but also asking the people who are doing it if this made sense. Does this match the job? So there's that one. The second one is a GMS student council advisor. So they don't have one currently. I will say that yesterday we had our first meeting of the dress code committee. And
Saw the poll.
I completely forgot about it. I'm so sorry.
What?
I'm chairing this
My parent
committee
put a
and
poll
I
on Facebook.
totally blanked on it.
Yep. And so we had the GMS, I think president and vice president, I could be wrong, who attended the meeting. So students were participating and
4th graders?
4th graders. Yep. So that was great to have student input. So currently they don't have a student council advisor. This is being proposed. If you read the job description, it will look an awful lot like the student council advisor at the other levels. And it's also a tier 1 advisorship.
who advises them now?
I honestly don't know. I think somebody is doing it. So all of these new positions, if you remember the way the contract's written, you have to do it for a couple of years and then you can petition to make it a club or activity. So it's been going on, but student
That's been
council, do you know who's doing it?
Jocelyn
I want to
used
think
to
it's
do it.
Jocelyn
Yeah.
Robinson.
Yeah,
She
she
used to do
used
it.
to. Yeah.
I believe so.
So will she get a stipend on top of her salary to do it?
So now it would be a
If you want to
stipend,
continue doing it.
a stipend position.
Or somebody else could step in and do it.
Right.
Is this after school or during the school day?
It's-
I believe it's
They meet during school because the kids
Okay.
can't get there after school. They,
LMS is after school.
yeah. But
See, I have a problem with that.
Right, if it's during school, it's just
It shouldn't,
well, yeah.
it should, yeah.
I think they meet, the student council meets after school, but then number 8 under position duty says work on average 2 to 3 hours a week on student council business outside the school day.
the GMS.
That's what it says in the description.
But a
It says it in the
stipend,
description.
you shouldn't be given during the school day unless it's during her prep
Well,
period.
that would be the same thing for the books and bites.
I-
If they're meeting during their lunch period.
Right. So in both cases, what's
This
been
is-
presented to the committee is that you're taking time that's dedicated during the school day and just kicking that down the road, like till after school, because of the nature of the students not being able to stay after, as they are at the high school or the middle.
I still have a problem with that. Because it's during the school day and they're getting paid to do their job. And unless it's during their prep
I
period.
was gonna
It's
say,
during their lunch period.
either lunch period or prep period.
Yeah. So,
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
so that's what I mean.
Okay.
If you can't use your planning time during the school day and you end up planning after because.
Right,
still
so you
to
have a
plan.
half hour lunch and then that
Right.
other hour and a half for
that's when you're doing it.
specialists.
Well, they're not being released from other duties. So it's not like
No,
okay,
there's,
instead of teaching a class, I'm going to do this. No, that would be,
Right.
but
It's during their break.
But to be honest, specialists get an hour and 45 minutes for lunch, or an hour and a half. They get a half an hour more than everybody else. So we're going to pay them additional money and give them an extra half hour off. I know I'm stirring the pot. Our gym teacher teaches 3 classes on Friday. Are we going to pay for her to have a stipend position on her 2 other positions at 2 other periods? She doesn't have children? I know I'm totally stirring the pot. I'm sorry.
Well, no,
I
you-
think
I think
that's a
that's a separate
scheduling
issue.
It's a
problem.
valid point,
Yes,
but if it's a
exactly.
gym teacher taking, I think that's another conversation, but I don't think the gym teacher is picking up books and bites or the other one. But if the librarian picked one up, I mean, that's the thing too, then I would think we should
Double
look at,
dipping.
or we should look at the librarian.
Yeah.
Like take the other position that you're saying is a stipend position that really doesn't need to be right now necessarily. Down the road, maybe it needs to be, but if you have a
Yeah.
librarian available, then
No,
it
I
should
think
be
it's,
there.
I think it's a separate issue. I think it's a scheduling issue
agree.
with the
Right.
specialists and in the UAs, and the stipend thing is a different thing entirely.
But if they have an extra half hour to 50 minutes off a day, then why should they be able to use their extra time that other teachers don't get and get paid another
Nobody's saying that
$800?
they are.
Nobody's saying they are. gonna
Nobody's
get
saying,
paid?
nobody's saying that it's the UA teachers who are doing
Oh,
these-
okay.
doing these clubs.
Okay.
It could be any teacher doing it on
Okay.
their lunch break.
And you're saying they're not working during that extra hour? They should be doing something. If not, that's not good utilization.
That's a whole different conversation.
let me talk to Scott about it and figure out.
I just don't think it's fair if they have extra time off during the day that they can get more money because they are lucky enough to have an extra half hour more than its classroom teacher off. If it's a UA teacher.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You know, so one argument has been that the UA teachers see all the students in the building versus a classroom teacher has, 20 students. So you add extra planning, extra grade reporting, so it's not always apples to apples.
Right.
But I think you're right if it's an extra hour and a half to deal with all that, right? So we have to find some way. You're also planning for, all the grade levels, depending on which UA you are.
Right.
But still, you've got a different planning expectation than.
Do we
perhaps a
all
classroom
UAs
teacher.
have grades to put into?
Library doesn't.
So, yeah, so they're not all the same. Again, not
Okay,
apples to
okay.
apples, but the others do.
Yeah.
So,
I just don't,
Maybe Scott can get a schedule for us.
yeah, and we can understand. So what is it that's
I'm just
different?
looking at it from a teacher's standpoint.
Absolutely.
Okay, because I don't want any, okay. I just threw it out there. I'll go back to my little cocoon.
No, you're good. Equity is
So
important.
maybe for our
It
next,
is.
maybe for our next meeting, Scott can bring, or submit anyway,
Okay.
a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll know what the
Awesome.
UAs are doing at GMS. and when.
So the next 3 are all at the high school, the environmental club. The recommendation from the committee is it's another tier 1 activity. And again, it's been meeting for some time. And I see a typo in there. It says the National Honor Society Advisor, which is wrong. But basically, this is what the environmental club will do and what the advisor is expected to do.
Are the stipend tiers based on the number of hours that an activity that the advisor participates in?
Yes.
I thought they already had an environmental club.
I just see a wide range in the three different, just the three that we've looked at so far, and they're all tier 1.
So I have to open the CBA. I don't have it handy,
Okay.
but it defines what tier 1 is.
Yeah.
And
Just the first one, for example, was, I'm assuming, a half hour a week for the books and bites, for 12 weeks. So one lunch period a week for 12 weeks. So 6 hours. And then the next one was
But that repeats many times over the year,
twice.
right?
It
Twice,
said-
okay.
Yeah. It said 2 6-week sessions. So 12 weeks would be 12 hours. And then this one, I mean, it looks like it requires a lot more time. I just would encourage the committee to revisit the tiers and
And so I'm trying to remember the specific language. Do you have the red book, Brian?
the red one. That's the
Yeah, so
LSS.
that's the LSS.
Yeah.
I got a blue one.
Oh, that's good enough. Yep.
A blue one.
If you go to the end, to the stipends.
Here, I'll let you find it if you know.
Oh,
It just seems like a very wide range of. What's the word I'm looking for?
so you have different expectations. Tier 1 athletics. Oh, this is totally different than the new one. Wait a minute. So tier 1 athletics is tied to the number of practices and events. So in athletics, it's tied to that. Special assignments. So co-curriculars, which is what we're talking about. So tier 1 is a minimum of 25 hours of involvement above the regular school day. And then tier 2 is a minimum of 75 hours. So there's this big gap,
Yeah.
right? In between, so tier 1, it says a minimum of 25, but
Right.
it could be up to 74.
Yeah.
Which creates this wide range. I think that's actually been narrowed. I want to say it's 50. I may be off on
Well,
that now.
I'm looking at the job descriptions, and I would think that they would want to put in the job description how many hours it is. For like that first one where it's
A minimum of.
yeah. I mean, where it's 6.
But-
The first one was 6 hours. That doesn't even meet the minimum for the books and bites, for example.
So if I go back to books and bites, I closed it.
I don't mean to nitpick. It just seems
No,
like I just want there to be equity and,
you're absolutely asking the right questions
Okay.
because for 2 6-week sessions, but I also think there's a time above, like it talks about choosing the texts.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about books and bites. In other words,
Yeah.
is it tailored to an individual student or is it
right.
a
Is it
a group
sounds like a
book?
book club. So they'd pick a book and the students
That's
would
what I
read it and then they'd meet once a week.
Sounds like it, yeah.
I don't know. It just,
Designing the questions to go with it. A book club doesn't just work because people show up especially in 4th grade. They
yeah.
don't just
Yeah.
generate conversation on their own. So again, the advisor there are hours outside of
Yeah.
just the sessions.
Right.
I mean, how much-
But like you said, 25 hours to 75 hours is a big jump
It's a big range.
to be making the same amount
Mhm.
of stipend.
Well, I would assume too, like, let's start with the first one, that it's
Mhm.
probably gonna be like a half an hour per week. That'll be
Right.
it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much prep time do you think there's gonna be? Let's say there's an hour even, which I don't think it's gonna be that much.
Mhm.
You're only talking an hour and a half times 6 times 2,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're talking about
Yeah.
18 hours?
Mm-hmm.
It has, so when it went to the committee, it had to have hit the 25 threshold, but I
Yeah.
don't remember how.
Well, that'd be 2 hours of prep for a half hour for the week.
Yeah.
Seems a little,
It does seem like a
exorbitant.
little
Yeah.
lopsided.
Yeah.
But I also, so I'm having a memory that there are multiple people doing this. So it's not just one advisor, but there are other book leaders among the tutors, perhaps, who then the stipend gets split. So it's not one individual with this entire stipend. I think there's a split of this, but let me get this clarified. I mean, the board's
Yeah, I
asking
mean,
the right
those are the kinds
questions.
of things that I would be asking if I was looking at different activities to potentially run for a stipend. I would want to know
Yep.
what the time commitment is, and is that tier, like you said, is it one person? Is it 4 people? Is it?
Let me get that clarified by
It
Scott.
doesn't say what the maximum number of students either,
No.
right? They can,
No.
It does not.
Right. So if it ends up being 30 kids, are we going to pay 2 teachers $888, or does that get split?
No, it gets split. It's one
Okay.
stipend. So
Okay.
if multiple people are doing it, it splits that stipend.
Okay.
Yep. We're not proposing multiple stipends of that amount. And we have a lot of examples where stipends are split. People co-share.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Like the athletics at LMS we just talked about. Okay.
so quickly, 2 other new offerings. So CHS, the Watts Club Advisor. So that stands for We Are All the Same. And if you click on the,
and these are the 2 that were submitted before in the new positions
that's
to us.
That's correct. They were on that list. So we've taken those off of that list, I believe. So they are residing here. And so it's an opportunity for students with different backgrounds, so diverse backgrounds, to have an opportunity for social engagement and involvement with peers. So it's really a way to help integrate the full school community together. And they look specifically for events that students can go participate in together, so that it brings the community together.
I like it.
And the last one is the National Art Honor Society. And, we have a fabulous art program at the high school. I don't think I'm telling you any news when I say that. They do a great job. And so this brings a honor society in. So in fact, it was mentioned tonight as one more service learning opportunity that's creating some extra stress. But at any rate, this would be it's a great offering for them.
Is this, just as a potential parent of a member, is this visual arts, or is it open to performing? Tri-M, I guess, is the Performing Arts Honor Society.
So Tri-M, I think you're right, because that's music. Well, what are the 3 M's? It's music.
I don't know.
Tri-M stands for something.
I should know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't go to induction this year.
But so that's the Music Honor Society, but it may include
Yeah.
other performing arts. And then
Okay.
this is really the visual arts,
Visual arts.
as I understand it. Yep.
Okay.
So I have a question about a potential co-curricular job. Just this week, the LMS kids were trying out for basketball, and I know that there were 40 kids that tried out for the basketball team. And it's unfortunate that we can only have one team. With cross country, they'll accept everybody that wants to run, but with basketball, they have to cut so many people. And I don't know if maybe that's an opportunity to look at another coach or have like an A-B team, or no, nothing like that. I don't know what's allowed for school sports, or it just was like, I was.
And talk it through, Brian. So,
you can.
Okay, got it. All right. It's not just co-curricular.
And the
Right.
thing is, it's only a few sports that are like that. You go to
Yeah.
girls, probably like 12 girls are going to try out.
Yeah. Okay.
And soccer is the same way. It's like boys, like all kinds of them try out, and then girls, not that many.
Huh.
It varies from sport to sport, and
And probably
whether
maybe
high-
year to year. I mean, it could just be a really
Yeah.
high
I mean,
tryout year.
basketball's
I
always
wasn't
been a
sure.
very popular sport. Football is a very popular sport as far as boys and for tryouts. But the state doesn't allow you to have more than one team.
Oh, okay.
It's not like
All
it's not like travel.
right. I wasn't sure.
Have,
Okay.
your town represented and have like 4 different teams. You put them in different divisions. You can do that.
and even if, so kids who didn't make that wanted to, if you had like a league
There are
at the
definitely
school.
other
Well, that's exactly
options.
what it is.
Yes,
Like,
travel
now-
and
Right now
rec.
for travel, you have two 7-8
Yeah.
teams.
It's just more, I mean,
Right.
the other problem is like the Lakes region, all sports have B teams. I mean, the state allows you to have B teams. And our volleyball even has C teams, but then the expense of the buses, the uniform, I mean, that
Yeah.
blows everything
Okay,
up.
right.
If you don't
Makes
get
total
them
sense.
started.
Yeah.
The gym over there is stress for space.
That's another
right?
good
So,
point. Yes.
You know, so then where do people play? So when
Right.
you put it all together,
No, those are good points. Yeah.
each place-
Outside. Yeah.
the good news is that the co-curricular programs, I think, in the district are pretty vibrant. So if a student doesn't get on the basketball, there's something going on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
The schools, it's
Yeah.
happening all over the place. So I don't think we need to vote on these tonight. The board's taking a look at them. Let me get some clarification on the points that you asked about. And
Would it be too much to include that information on the job description? I know it's a lot for the committee to take on, but just an idea of, minimum between this is the number of hours, the range of the number of hours that this requires.
so that's embedded when you identify the tier,
Okay.
then it goes to that tier lookup. I think it's been clarified between the blue book and the red book.
Okay.
And so let me get that answer so that we know exactly what those hours are.
Maybe we need to add more tiers to that gap, to
Can
bring
we?
that gap down.
No, when we just find out first what the requirement is and how many hours are going to be like, I mean, we got enough steps and like already. That's like, but just looking at like things from the, books advisor to the National Art Society advisor, I just see that as like two totally different like requirements as far as time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're both the same tier.
Right.
And again, it's because they're under 75. So,
That's a wide range.
Right, but
it's a wide range.
I'm just curious, like how many hours the books is going to take in comparison to the National Art.
And at the end of all of this, remember, it's a joint committee. So Josh Knight, who is our athletic director, Holly and I are on that committee. Barbara is sort of organizing us and doing a lot of the background on it. And then from the teacher's side, it's Sean McDonough, Wendy Langelier, and I'm missing somebody, Sandy Doucette. And so, and they then have to take it back to the LEA executive board. So at some point, all of that work will be wrapped up. It'll come to the board for a vote and to the LEA.
And I'm sure the LA is going to be fair anyway. They want to make certain that one of the members is not working 10 hours and getting paid the same as someone's working 50 hours. So
Right.
they have a vested interest in it also.
Absolutely. Yep. And so that's what I have for you.
All right. So that brings the school board.
I have a couple things. Just wanted to say good luck to the robotics teams entering the competition in the next 2 weeks. I'm excited for that, going for the first time. And I also wanted to say thank you to the teachers that did the Meet the Teacher interviews, Mrs. Beach, Mrs. Sabona, Mrs. Anktel, Mrs. McCollum, Mrs. Corbeil, Mrs. Green, and Mr. Chowdhury, who is here tonight. And then also thank you to Sean McDonough for the What's Up interview as well, and Nate Cooper for doing the Hudson Litchfield News interview. So I just want to thank them for getting out there and helping to get the word out.
So I'll probably more or less just repeat what Dr. Jetty said, but I want to thank the community for coming out to vote. I want to thank the LEA for being out there and supporting the contract and being as visible as they were at the polls. And I want to, again, thank this entire school board for all the hard work, hours, and time that was put into this contract. And I'm extremely excited the fact that we have a 3-year contract for the teachers.
Me too.
And the other thing I just want to say is good luck. The boys are actually playing right now.
They started late.
Oh, did they?
The team before them were in penalty kicks. So our kids are up in Laconia and they haven't even started playing. And the volleyball girls lost today. They lost up at Plymouth. So I will keep us updated on the soccer team, but we're going to have some tired kids tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, my daughter included.
Oh, did she go up too?
Yeah. But again, I mean, we have 3 teams including, that are someone in the playoffs, in football not yet, but I mean, Litchfield is represented extremely well in the sports across. So good luck to all of them. And that's all I have. Anyone else have anything else? Hearing that, we'll go to community forum, and I'll sound like the mosquito dude. There's nobody here, so I guess there's no news. So that'll bring us to, we have public minutes. We actually have 3 sets of minutes for approval. The first is October 16th, 2016.
To approve the minutes from October 16th, 2019.
There's a second. Your second, Rob. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Then we have October 19th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the 19th.
And Rob seconds. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. And the last set is October 23rd, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve that one too. I should have just done them all at once.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Which will then bring us to budget transfers.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget transfers for October.
August through October.
August through October.
I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstained, 500. And that'll bring us to Corey with the BA report.
All right, so there's been some, as we take our budget reports to the budget committee and through the budget work sessions, there is some confusion in terms of there's prior year encumbrances that find their way into the prior year budget. So I have provided some documents. I believe it's in the shared folder. I've also did some more work today that reconciles those accounts so that you can see in some cases it looks like an account's actually going down when it's actually coming up. So there's one preliminary for the facilities, because I know Brian had asked for that specifically, but then there's one for overall to just note those accounts so that we can also share that with the budget committee so that they can recognize that the budget they're seeing is a little bit off because the financial system pulls those encumbrances in.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, we make sure we point that out to them and like
Absolutely.
clear that they see that. It's like
Overview.
Yeah.
So everything that I'm providing to you tonight, I'm also going to bring forward to them so that they can see some of the work that's been done. There was a question, I believe it was from Tara about, or maybe it was Tara, the actual expenditures on the budget report as they show for the high school. So I did just email you a document called High School Expenditures FY17 through 19. And that reconciles out, it's the same thing. It reconciles out those expenditures. So you'll see that the actual expenditures for 19 were 569, not the 650 that are showing on there. Because the expenditures related to encumbered items from the prior year are also hitting against the same account.
It's jumping.
So those show there as well. The last part on my thing is just for budget updates, but if you're comfortable, we can wait while we're going to be discussing the budget in a couple of minutes anyway. We can go through everything there.
So we'll move that last item down. So I'll hit
When we get to
enrollment.
like the draft.
What's that?
So we'll move it down when we talk about warrants.
I think you'll be voting on the budget tonight and such, and we'll have to talk about some of the changes that have been made since I put that folder in place the other day. So it's been a bit of a moving target.
We have enrollment report.
So the enrollment report, so remember we gave you the enrollment projections based on the October 1st enrollment, but we do bring to the board a monthly update of actually where we are on enrollment. And this is pulled on, I think it's the last Friday of each month so that you can see exactly where we sit. So you can see that in October, we actually gained 3 students. And So that number is up. There were 2 students gained at the elementary school and 1 gained at the middle school. The high school has been steady. That's been the story of the high school, to be honest. So, so there you have it. So the numbers are up a little bit. I will tell you that, since these numbers were pulled on October 25th, we've had more students who have arrived. So Principal Thompson and went to a meeting today regarding students transferring in from another district. So we continue to see additional enrollment coming along. But
How's kindergarten looking?
so kindergarten is this has it at 76. I think it's at 76.
77. They got a new one.
When since this number?
Yes.
Okay. So there you have it.
Yeah.
We're up to 77 in kindergarten. The meeting we went to today on 3 students did not include a kindergarten. So we'll announce that.
That's fine.
Maybe that's
We'll allow it.
Did it include a kindergarten? No. And then quickly on dining. So I want to walk through that report.
Yeah, you saw my comment.
I did not.
Oh,
What is your comment?
I commented on it. I don't know what this means.
Yeah, so let me walk you.
Well, I didn't put it that way. I made it sound a lot smarter than that. But are these the amount of lunches that were purchased?
These are the reimbursable meals. So
Okay.
we're counting when a student takes the full
That the state will
meal,
reimburse
it counts as a reimbursement. So just so we can compare apples to apples. I mean, there are a la carte items also that we're not
Yeah,
tracking.
so it doesn't
on this
include
report.
your kids, what they buy.
Oh, yeah, they don't buy a full lunch. Yeah, we don't want to get the fruit. We don't want to get that. We want to be charged full individual items.
But if you look at the top of the list,
Yeah.
so you can see broken out by month and broken out by school how many reimbursable meals were sold. Now remember, the 2018 numbers were a huge increase over the 2017 numbers. In fact, I'm going to have a conversation with Lauren to say, can you just add the 17 chart back in?
Yeah,
Instead of having all the
Right.
white space at
Right.
the bottom,
Mhm.
start with 17, show us that you've already shown a large increase
That would be
going
awesome.
into
Yeah.
18, and now
And now a further increase.
further increase. And that's the key thing. So if you bring it all down, the number I would look at is the 1788 over on the right-hand side of the bottom chart, because that means we have served 1,788 more reimbursable meals so far this year than we had last year.
I almost wonder if
And-
there was a blip last year at LMS. They entered something wrong.
Where is it?
If you just look at the number for LMS, they're at 4,012 last year, which is basically
Serve really good
It's
lunches
like
that month.
1,000 more than they've had any other month almost, except for May. I just wonder if maybe she had a blip, maybe something was charged wrong or something.
Yeah, we can check that.
Or like
It's
it's
a good
whether it's
question.
3,000 instead
Because
of
even-
4,000.
if
Yeah,
you look
that
at
is
it-
huge.
Look at the
Right.
number. Look at the number of days though.
Mm.
We got 22 days in the
Yeah.
month
Oh,
of
that's-
October.
Oh,
We
true.
got
Oh, that's a
15
good
days
point.
in
I don't know,
December.
it's
16.
22 days in October this year. I'm just saying.
But May's almost
it's such a huge
4,000.
number compared to
May's almost 4,000
Oh, yeah.
and they have 22
January.
days.
January is
Yep.
almost 4,000. Okay.
You do have to look at those days. That's key. But
How's she doing collecting her money?
yeah, so we've
my
taken a
question.
look at the money. So I think the last number we had was about $6,000 behind, and we're at about 4,000 behind. So we've made some
better than
gain on it. There are a couple families that are really struggling,
Oh, well,
and so we're providing the assistance with applying for services as you
Mhm.
can. The problem is that if somebody qualifies, it fixes you going forward. You still have a problem
Balance.
going backward. And so
So if that's the case, do we just erase the debt?
we
rather
do
than
not.
Continue carrying it?
We do not. We carry it and keep track of it because it was that was
But we understand it's non-collectible debt.
at some point. I mean, if we have
Graduation.
a student at GMS, we're going to carry that forward in the hopes that situation
Yeah.
fixes itself. But I guess at some point they age out or graduate.
Yeah.
And
We approved the collection policy and the whole, we discussed the whole thing about not denying a child a meal and not singling kids out.
Right.
Can we get kind of an overview of what the process is at each school? For like if a student comes up and says, I want to buy this,
Yep.
what's the protocol? What's the procedure that happens? Does a note go home? Does a phone call, like what? Do you know what I
Is
mean?
there
Like,
one?
What? I don't know. I'm curious to know what the staff people, the people at the checkout are being trained
You
to
can't get an
do.
ice cream. That's the only time I heard anything. I couldn't get an ice cream today.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've all heard it.
Well, they can't get something a la carte. So if an item is
And
an
it-
individual
but-
item,
But
that-
what, that's if my kid tells me.
Right. But that's also like at what point, right? So we
Right.
said there was something, the policy says $15. If your balance is below $15 below, in debt, then we start offering another meal. But, if I go up and I'm $2 overdrawn or, I can't buy my milk today, then, I just want to know what the thresholds are and what the steps are.
let me clarify that with Lauren, because
Okay.
I want to make sure, remember, it's a new policy
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that I know exactly what that means, because the $15 threshold, we were trying to give families that,
Right.
I mean, I know I've
2 or 3 days.
gone a little bit in the negative, and
Right.
then I've written the check to bring it
Yeah.
way in the
yeah.
positive.
Right.
So,
Right. And I don't want a little second grader being told she can't buy milk because her account's overdrawn by 50 cents, so that kind of thing.
That's a problem. If you approach the register and you have a full meal
Mm-hmm.
with a milk included, you will not be denied.
Mm-hmm.
If you are overdrawn and you have a milk,
Overdrawn
Just
to what
consider-
amount though?
Right.
any.
At all.
See,
Right.
that's-
Because if it's a negative, if it's considered an a la carte item,
Yeah.
we
see,
cannot
I
sell
don't have
it.
a problem with that.
Yeah, so don't I,
Especially
when it
with
comes
the
to like,
little kids.
well, especially milk.
Yeah.
I remember at the high school, them telling them you need to get a fruit
Yeah.
just to make it a complete meal.
Yeah.
I don't think that every table has that kid that will eat the apple nobody wants.
I mean, so a kid can go get a meal,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
full meal with a milk and not be denied if he's negative 50 cents.
and throw it out.
Yet, right, throw it out just to get the milk. Or
Mhm.
you just go buy the milk
That doesn't make
for
any
25
sense.
cents and
Yeah.
say, no, you can't have the milk.
I mean, can there be a gray area below zero that we say, okay, I'm going to contact your mom. You can have the milk, but I'm going to contact your mom today with an email and say, let her know.
But the leads aren't reaching out. The leads aren't contacting families.
Are they supposed to?
No, that's
No.
Lauren.
No.
Right.
It goes to
out,
Lauren.
sends out letters.
And I understand there's got to be a cutoff, but I don't know. If my kid's balance is under by 50 cents, I still want my kid to be able to buy a milk that day.
Right.
And I'm going to pay it as soon as I find out.
I thought
But if we're not-
You have till a minus
Don't
minus
forget the
15.
alternative.
but
Right.
let me clarify that with Lauren, because the
Mhm.
$15 is the number I'm remembering in the
Yeah, that's
policy.
what's in the policy.
And I just want to make sure so what was the $15?
That was if then they will be offered an alternate meal.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, this is the policy. Students with a debt greater than 15 will receive a choice of an alternate meal until the account is paid in full. No student will be allowed to charge individual a la carte or snack items, water bottle, juice, or milk. The only exception will be if the parents have provided the district with specific written direction, blah, blah, blah.
And that's at $15. So if you
So,
minus,
so no student who's more than $15? So I'm not even
Yeah, we're gonna have to clarify that.
clear what that line means, to be honest.
That's what Lauren told me.
Yeah.
But the point is that if a kid is a nickel in arrears,
They can't get milk.
okay, so we need to review that. Yep.
Yeah.
so
I'm not naming names.
I think she's like a quarter and couldn't get milk.
Well, I mean, if you sign up online, if you have the My School Bucks, and you can set a threshold to remind you to replenish. I have mine set on auto pay, so I get the reminder, and then it shows that the thing processed. But if they're not using My School Bucks, there's no note that comes home. I don't think.
I didn't understand the policy that way. I thought basically you can overspend up to minus 15, and then because Nick, one day I was there, he didn't have enough money. They gave him a milk, but they didn't give him a chocolate milk. I was like, fine,
Does it matter? Do chocolate milk cost more?
It's better for you.
So maybe some training of our.
All right, so
Well, it's just, and I think, Tina, you might have mentioned this when we first were talking about this, to make certain that we're all on the same page and they're all approaching every child the same way, in
Yeah.
all three schools. It's like,
Yeah, it's got to be consistent.
yeah, I mean, you're down like 50 cents and it must show on your screen, right? Like how much they're down?
Yes.
Like when they come through?
Right.
I mean, especially little kids, tell mommy to give you some money next week.
Right.
You
They
know,
won't.
Here's your milk.
They won't, but
No.
but then that's on us to send a note home or an email,
Mm-hmm.
right?
But you're right, with my school box, you can set those thresholds.
Yeah.
I mean, I get email reminders at $10.
Right, yeah, me
Well,
too.
can't they
Right?
be
And
like
I
some
won't do
little-
the auto pay because I don't want to pay the fee. So I send a check in.
Change that this
Oh,
year.
I
Send a
don't
check
do
in.
it.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
But
make-
there has to be a
School
letter
did
you
work.
can hand to a kid. All right, little Brian, here's a letter.
No, because then you're singling the person out.
Just
Oh.
an email. Just send
Yeah.
them an email.
They have, there's a procedure that they have in
For
Window
everybody
for
or
doing
just
this
school?
stuff, and then
Mhm.
I
They do?
think
It's in the
Lauren's
policy. They
gonna
send
go
the whole
down.
balance
Okay.
thing.
Observe how
E
they do
parent
it.
emails,
Yeah.
even if they're not on school bucks.
Because there's a way
Well, it would be nice that
Yeah.
if,
to do
The
it.
pay automatic
like, I don't know how many kids on a regular basis, like, let's take GMS.
for pay.
I mean, I don't want to beat this
No,
up.
not
but
for pay.
How many
I'm
kids do you
just
think are
saying,
like
they send- they-
in the negatives at
policy
GMS on any
says
given day?
Couldn't even
Low
wager.
balance,
Yes.
negative
Yeah.
balance statements will be sent out weekly
Just
via
wanted, the
email.
teacher can be
I never got
contacted,
them
so the teacher has, well, the
consistently.
next
That's
card,
why
they
I
hand, they put in
signed
the
up for
kid's
school
bag
bucks.
at the end of the day, it's like, you know.
All right, we'll take it to Lauren. We'll have a conversation. Let's
Thank
clarify that. But, I mean, I'm hearing 3 board members who are pretty clear that they thought that there was flexibility up to the $15 threshold.
Yeah.
And so,
And-
we'll,
And
we
no,
may
you
need
should
to
have
read,
different thresholds. $5 you can have, you know, this.
Right.
$10 you can have this. 15 you can have this.
Right.
we may want to even rewrite, I hate to bring it back again, but I just read that and I'm confused by what our own
Yeah.
policy says and we just approved it. So,
Yep. Well, I mean, that's what happens. We put it into action and then
Yep.
we
Don't fix
rework
It's
it.
clean.
Yeah.
They don't get any meals or anything until they get to that.
Well,
Right.
thank you for that discussion
absolutely.
and follow up.
All right, so that brings us to the end of what I was talking about.
Awesome.
Budget.
We're at time.
What are you doing?
I know, right?
What are you doing, Brian?
Dining report, old business.
Back at you.
Right, me?
Oh, vote on
I was
final
going ahead, I was
school
reading the
budget.
warrants.
Sorry. Well, Brent,
Old
Vote on
business,
Sky-
vote on final school board budget. I was one step ahead, I'm sorry.
yes, no, you're good.
All right, so I did provide some information today, had revisions to it along with the summary of all the items that have been added. We did have notification of an additional retirement. So that's been added in. Devin has another student coming in that will be attending RSEC. So we had to add $65,000 in tuition for that as well. So the total general fund budget this time is $22,847,056. This also includes the contract that passed last week. So that's now in here.
What's the total again? 22.8?
22,847,056. That's just the general fund. The total gross appropriation is 24,037,145. And that's because, well, I mean, that has the funds that aren't,
Right.
it has the grants fund and the food service,
Are
which
we-
don't impact.
That's just.
We don't have that attached to this agenda, right?
No, I sent it separately as an email, I believe. So right now we're looking at about a 3% increase
Yeesh.
in the budget. And we're looking at about a 2.5% increase in the tax rate going into FY21.
Another 3% increase. How much is in dollars of retirement?
What's that? For just the retirement
It
piece?
was 165 and you said we just received another one?
Yeah, we're in the 290 range for retirements and
290,000?
Yeah, I believe so. Let me go to it. If I can find the right folder. So in that district-wide salaries line, we're now at 291,472.
Which page is that on, Corey?
Page 1 of the
Of the
salaries and
salary.
benefits. That's, we've got 5 retirements, 4 for this year and 1 that's being paid out that had to be carried because of late notification last year. So it carries forward into the next budget.
And then special ed, that's the other student she had talked about when she did her presentation. It's addition.
Yeah, there's that. And we have other students that go to that location. So she doesn't think there's going to be an impact to transportation.
But 65,000 just for the student.
Just for the student. She had provided a range of 58,000 to 65,000.
Yeah.
But then if you take into account all the additional services that the child may need after entering the program, then,
So that's
Probably
356. And then
That's for next
now
year.
I'm gonna go to
next
my
school
warrants.
year. So are we tapping into the reserve fund?
Oh, nice segue. So, I had a discussion. I was talking with Devin today, me and Mike actually, and she has recently had 3 students come in
Oh.
with needs. And we are currently, I think she's thinking between transportation and tuition, we're already $50,000 to $60,000 in the red. So we are going to be putting some numbers together, and probably at the next board meeting, I'll bring forward a request to transfer money from the special education reserve.
That's why it's there.
Yep.
Have we ever thought about keeping some of these students in district and having a special ed teacher, like an autism program or anything like that?
These are the severe, these are the severest.
It depends. It really depends.
That's,
I mean,
so they're gonna be
obviously-
15 outplaced students?
We do have some programs in-house, so
So we have,
they're not all outplaced, but there's an economy of scale also.
yeah.
There is a potential of one coming in that may be a residential placement as well, which could.
So that's 16?
Huh?
That'll be up to 16 students outplaced?
Yeah, some in that ballpark, yeah.
So compared to last year's contract or this year's contract, what was this year's, the dollar total? Do we have that?
For the budget?
Yeah.
So I had to, now the 3% that I'm saying from FY 20 to FY 21,
Yeah.
that 3% is after year 1 of the contract has been applied.
Yeah.
So if that's not in there, you're looking at a 5 to 6% increase between the 2 years. But now that the contract's been applied, it's at 3. The amount, let me pull that for you. You want what the original approved budget was, or what it is now adjusted for the contract?
Nope. You gave it suggested 22,847,056.
Yep. So that's that's for FY 21. FY 20 is right now with year 1 of the contract factored in is 22,170,325. So if you take 256 off of that, that's what the original approved was in March.
Yeah, because there's no contract.
Mhm.
So 22,173, then you have to add in like 300. So aside from salaries, benefits, special ed, that's just what every piece of the increase.
A good chunk of it, I did,
Very little. in other
within those
Yeah.
documents, I did provide a departmental breakdown of percentage increases by department. I believe I provided it online as well.
You said that email you sent?
Yep. It's either email or I put it in the folder.
That's fine. So salaries, benefits, and special ed.
Those are the main pieces. And then the other action items we have on top of that is having a formal vote on positions to see if we are going to put anything additional in, and that would add to the bottom line as well.
Makes sense. It's all in facilities. The increase is facilities, special services, technology. School board, legal
Technology.
fees. School
What's
board,
that?
is school board legal fees?
Is school board what?
Legal fees.
14% increase or something, $14,000 increase? Is that under school board.
So under the school board is where the legal
Mhm.
account is.
We
And
did
so-
increase that, I believe,
For 21.
because it's held steady at 50, but that's not. So So I think they upped
We've been
it to 60.
overspending it each year.
Yeah.
You know, optimistically, we won't be bargaining.
Mhm.
And so if we
Everyone will be
underspend,
happy.
great.
Just be general matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just built at a lower rate.
So we need to vote on the budget to go to before the budget committee tomorrow?
Well, I think first step is you
First we have to go
need to
through the,
vote on the
positions.
positions.
Oh,
So Holly did adjust that for the new contract.
which positions? The stipends?
Where,
No, no, no.
where are they, Corey? They're in your report, right?
Did she?
They're on the very last page, 7 of 7.
Oh,
Budget.
Did they add a fifth
What's that?
grade teacher was on there last time, wasn't it?
A what?
Did we add that
Fifth grade
now
Teachers on there now.
for consideration for Tom?
We didn't add a 5th grade.
No.
There's a fifth grade
He wants to
teacher
keep
on
his
here now.
fifth grade teacher on.
Huh?
There's a
Fifth
fifth.
grade teacher on there now.
How did
Fifth
that
grade
get on
teacher.
there?
It was a third grade teacher.
Holly added it.
Page
where
7 of
are
7.
we?
Wait, I'm confused. Where am I getting at that though?
Page 7 of 7 on Corey's.
It's called budget. The
So-
document is
Budget
budget
document.
documents.
It was emailed to us.
Oh,
No, so we have to go to email. Hold on.
Okay, hang on.
Please hold.
That was a separate folder that he.
I thought he wanted to keep 5.
No, hold on. So where are we going to find
how do you
this?
rotate?
Our email,
No.
budget
Okay,
documents.
so if you go to email
Yeah.
budget documents FY21,
7 pages.
I don't know where you
Rotate. If you download it to PDF, maybe it'll play.
Oh, okay.
got it. Okay, so how do I rotate this on my
I
screen?
don't.
I
have
know,
it.
right?
That's what we're trying to
You
figure
turn
out.
your
I just
screen
don't,
like this.
yeah.
If
So I
you
just-
download it to PDF, you should be able to.
I can look sideways.
I don't think I got it to Google. Google.
What the?
Why
is this so hard?
Join the party here.
There we go.
All right.
It flips over.
All right.
All right, so let's walk through this one.
What page are we on?
So at the top, you can see that we've got the kindergarten teacher
They're already in there, yeah.
Oh, this
in
is
case we need it.
Yeah.
But when we look at the draft warrant in a second, we have a possible way to come at that. And I want to walk the board through it.
Hey, are we still on 7?
All right, so 5th grade teacher should not be on there because that didn't come.
That was not on there.
No, that didn't go through.
So I don't know how that got on there. And based on, there are 94 students projected. That is absolutely accurate. That puts 23 and a half students
Yeah.
into the classes.
That's okay for
He has
fifth grade.
96 right now.
That's the
Well, he
right,
has 5 now, doesn't he?
that's the right math.
No.
4.
In 8th?
5th.
Fifth grade.
Oh, 5th. Oh, I'm sorry.
4 classes.
3 grades ahead of yourself right now.
So I guess a little frustrating to see it appear here.
Yeah.
But the board can certainly take action on that and decide to go with it.
I don't remember talking about that at
We
all.
didn't.
We did not.
No, we didn't.
How many, they have 4 teachers now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as of right now, they have 93 students coming in. They have 96.
And they have 96 right now.
They have 96.
We have an 8th grade with 5 teachers.
Are they going to be, I mean, why couldn't they move an 8th grade teacher? They're going from
They don't need
113 to
one
94.
teacher. They have less students.
No, but I'm
coming in
just
than
saying,
they have right now.
Yeah,
if he
the-
thinks he needs a teacher for
Mhm.
5th grade.
Then take it from the 8th grade.
94, you could-
And that wouldn't be a warrant article anyway, right?
No.
It
We've
would
had
not.
5 fifth grades before.
It would not, but it's a budget. We have to put it
It's
in
a
the budget.
budgetary, yeah.
You didn't, not everybody was in the earlier meeting. I know Principal Lecklider is not confident in the numbers. He's looking at what this year's projection was versus this year's reality. And he did gain a few over that. But
we have to vote for it because it's on here.
Mm-hmm.
We have to vote on it because it's on here.
No.
no, I think somebody could make a motion
You
to,
just don't make a motion.
Right.
Skip it. Okay.
So do we want to just start at the top? There we go, and just spun around again.
Yeah, so let's go down. So hold on the kindergarten for a minute.
Well, my question on the kindergarten, it's already in the budget.
Right.
So why do we need to vote on it? It's already in there.
You
That's what
really
it says.
don't. That's why it's separated off. And what we're proposing, let me just jump ahead to this. So when we get to the draft warrant, you're going to see that we're proposing.
Going to where I was.
We're proposing to put a warrant article to create a kindergarten,
Like trust fund.
expendable trust, to take the money that we've already raised in taxation this year. So we already have the $105,000 in this year's budget. We've already collected it from the taxpayers. We want to just park it in a kindergarten trust fund. And so then you won't have to include it in the budget for next year, because then the money will be sitting in the bank.
So,
But
in
I
case
thought we were
need
gonna
it.
two
use that.
questions for that.
Okay.
Yep.
Last meeting, we said we couldn't take salaries and put it into a trust. That's one.
The question was, could we do it? And
I've seen districts do it in the past.
Put salaries in.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna do it for any grade level that
Right.
needed it to.
Yeah.
The second thing.
so we did have that discussion. Right now, and again, it's just a draft warrant, but it's
Right.
specific to that kindergarten, because that's how the money's in the current budget.
Okay.
But we certainly could say a program enrollment
Yeah.
fund and
Right.
use it that way. So that
We need to outfit.
if
a new
kindergarten stabilizes and we're at a steady
Right.
4, but there's some other
Grade
flip
that
that
needs
occurs, we
something.
could use it.
That's over there.
So I think you
Number.
probably have an easier sell if you just say it's for kindergarten, where the numbers, it's something totally new for us. We're only like in year 2, as far as kindergarten. In our projections, we went solid, like the same number for like 3 years or 4 years. So I think it's an easier sell, just having it for kindergarten. Because the other classes, I mean, as they go up, then we know that, okay, we can foresee, yep, okay, we're gonna need another fourth grade, 5th grade class, that type of thing.
They just bounce back and forth with, yeah.
And I think if you do it with, as a warrant, and maybe like put a time period on it too, like in 2 years, if we don't need it, it goes back to the taxpayers.
After all the developments are built.
Budget or leaving it in the budget?
Well, so there's the danger. If we take it out of the budget and the voters say no, and we have the need for a 5th kindergarten, we have to find that within the existing budget.
See, I think for the budget committee, I'd go back to what I said last week. I think it'd be an easier sell if we said we're putting it in this year's budget. Last year's money's going back to the general fund.
And do the exact same thing, promising that those monies go back.
And if this passes, we'll keep the money from 2021 for the fund. And we just say we don't want to take the chance of it failing and not having the money. Because if we put the warrant on there, they're going to cut the money out of the budget. You just know they're going to do that.
So you're saying establish a trust fund with,
Keep it in the budget for
Underspend?
this
21.
budget for 21 and have the warrant for that money. The money we're raising for 21. So we still do what we would normally do with this year.
So don't take it
That
back
way we're
from
co-
this year's
That way we're
money.
covering ourselves. If they vote it down, the money's already in the budget.
Unless they cut the money out of the budget.
I think they're going to cut the money out of the budget. If we say we're having a warrant for this year's money, they're going to say that you don't need next year's money. We'll cut it out of the budget. I think we have that double-edged
But
sword.
they get to recommend warrants.
Yeah.
So if we can get them to recommend this warrant, which the public pays a lot of attention to their vote, right? So if the budget committee supports this approach and says, take it out of the budget, we're going to recommend this warrant. And I guess the worst case scenario is that it fails.
And they cut the money.
Yeah.
And
That's the worst case.
we could encumber it to get us through next year because we already have the money collected, or no?
You cannot encumber salaries.
You cannot
You
encumber
can put salaries in a capital reserve, but you cannot encumber them for the next year.
Okay.
I just think if we do it that way, I think we're checking their boxes for being responsible. And I just think you're kind of.
Okay, we told them we would give the money back, so.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Now they're saying, okay, you're not giving the money back, now you want it.
You want to
into a
keep
fund.
it. So we're giving the money back and then we're budgeting it, but proactively saying, this is what we want to do. And I've heard the chair of the budget committee numerous times mention this for different things that she'd like to do this. So I think we're on safe ground if we present it this way. I think it's a good faith move doing it that way.
We're just trying to like cover ourselves
Yeah.
if we need
And
it.
I think we're covering ourselves that way because pass or fail, the money's there.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm worried that they'll,
So you're saying the wording of the warrant is not from unexpended funds this year?
I'd say the money that's budgeted for next year, that warrant would then keep that money specifically for the fund. I just think that's covering all our bases.
I agree.
I-
We told them right up front that, hey, we're gonna give you the money back and all associated costs
Yeah.
related to it.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can't word a warrant to take it out of unexpended funds the following year. You have to wait to bring that forward then the following year.
Right. But hopefully by then we'll have a good handle on it. Do we really need the money?
Why couldn't we?
You could do a warrant this year.
Why couldn't the warrant be?
You
for
can
this?
establish it.
Year.
No, we're establishing a fund, right?
You can establish the fund with $1.
With a
And
dollar,
then
yeah.
with $1, so then it's in place.
Right.
So then you put it on the warrant for the next year.
Right, but you can't say, we're gonna
Yeah,
take that
it has
money
to be
next
out of
year and
Yeah.
out of
the
next
current
year's
fiscal
then
year
maybe-
fund
But couldn't we say with the dollar, we're then putting that money next year into that account?
Can we,
Well, that'll
can
be
we
the
just get
intention.
consensus from the budget committee?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
$1
right.
just because you can't
It'd
appropriate.
be
Would
the
they rather it be in the budget, or would they rather, I mean,
But see, Michelle, it's absolutely
The
no
wording
different
of the
than.
warrant
No, no.
can't say it's gonna come out of the unexpended fund
Well,
Sure.
for the
it
following
doesn't say it,
year.
but regardless, we're doing it exactly the same way this year. So
It doesn't have to say that, but
Yeah.
it can come from there.
It can,
Yeah.
but you can't put that warrant out worded like that. and
Right.
have people
Right, we just
vote
want
on
a
it.
warrant for $1.
for a
Right.
dollar,
That's all you could do.
But you're then raising the money twice. You raised it this
we've
year.
already raised it.
And then you have to re-raise it.
Re-raise it.
Although you raise it, you return it, and you raise it again.
But it's what we were going to do
Raising the money twice.
without the warrant. It's what we were going to do anyways.
Right.
I just think we're checking. To me, I just think we're checking all the budget committee boxes.
But
I
I
think that'll
like
appeal
Tina's
to them.
approach, which is, budget committee, what's your pleasure? What do you
Yeah.
think is the path of
We
least
feel
And you
the-
can give them the option. Here are
right, we
two
feel the need
beliefs.
to,
These are two
This
very,
one.
whichever way we go, it's a very
Yeah.
responsible way to plan. Because we either can keep raising it until we figure out the kindergarten
Right.
stabilization number, right?
or we can save it.
Yeah.
Go from there. We don't have to, these don't have to all be approved tonight before they go to the budget committee.
The warrant, no, that's a draft.
Okay. All right.
It's part of
I
the
thought we were voting on those tonight.
On the positions, not the
Positions?
positions. we're
Okay.
voting.
What?
You're like 3 seconds behind. Yes, the position. That's what we're talking about right now.
All right, so,
I'll hold off on kindergarten para through then.
yes, I see
Those
those
are
joined.
together.
That's
Yeah.
joined.
That's all in the
all the
kindergarten
other
trust
costs
fund or
also.
whatever.
All right,
And right now
so,
within the budget is a fifth
Wait, I have
kindergarten
a
teacher.
concern with this fifth. According to the Corey just left, it says total increase to budget. This isn't in the budget already, right?
Yeah, it is.
So that means the 88,000 for the fifth grade teachers in the budget then.
Oh,
No,
I'm sorry. I thought you were still in kindergarten.
No. I
No.
thought we'd,
no, these are not in the budget.
okay.
Okay,
That's what I just wanted to
so
make sure.
positions kept in salaries and benefits budget is the kindergarten teacher and the para.
Okay.
Because they were in there this year, we
Right.
didn't use it, they carried over.
So tomorrow you can ask clarification from the budget committee. How would they like us to go forward?
And everything on the bottom, none of that has been added in
Okay,
yet.
I just wanted to
So
make sure.
now, I think we go line by line. So
Yeah.
the fifth grade
Yeah,
teacher,
We're not
skipping
voting.
that.
We're skipping that.
I'll tell you what. I'll make a motion to add a fifth grade teacher
I'll second.
for discussion.
Okay.
Any discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor of adding a fifth grade teacher signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Okay.
Abstain. You voting?
okay.
I'll abstain. I don't know. We didn't have any discussion.
I want that discussion.
I know, but, okay.
I think my concern is we had an 8-hour discussion. It wasn't on there.
I thought he was
Yeah.
taking the extra eighth grade teacher and bringing them down to fifth.
That's what I
grade.
just
That's,
assumed.
I don't necessarily know if you have to move an eighth grade teacher.
No, but honestly, if we need a teacher at the middle school, an
It
eighth
should
grade
be have
teacher
a
should be
teacher.
moved
Yeah.
because they have 5
yeah,
with 9,
well,
you know.
that's,
If we're looking at
If
numbers,
you look at the enrollment projections, they're gonna stay steady. So
Yeah.
say they're static. Okay.
And I personally think that it's more important to have the additional eighth grade teacher getting ready to go into high school than it is having an additional fifth grade teacher.
I know. I wanted to hire a fifth grade teacher a while ago, but the numbers weren't there. So
Okay, the next position, additional hours at GMS.
Make a motion to approve the additional hours for the administrative assistants at GMS.
I'll second the conversation. Any conversation?
I don't think it's necessary to expand their hours. I think
No, do I?
they work 7.5 hours a day, and I think we can make coverage at both ends of the day happen.
Yeah, I thought we had a discussion about adjusting their hours, which does make sense.
Yes.
So all those in favor of adding 2.5 hours per week to the administrators signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained. 050. The next is the library monitor, adding 5.5 hours per day for the library monitor to.
Monitor the library.
Yeah. So I made the
Make
motion.
I'll second for discussion.
Any discussion?
I think we came up with the alternative plan there, right? With the
All those
scanners.
in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained? Motion fails 050. Hold on, backwards again. This position is,
Third grade teacher.
this is a third grade teacher.
So
Is that included in the, that's not included in the budget?
it's not yet. You would be adding it tonight.
Can you go over the enrollment numbers
Yep.
again?
Let me get the right number up.
I got it right here.
Can you read it? I have it
So
as an
third
open
grade,
tab.
well, right now,
Second grade is 98.
second grade is 98, third grade has 76, fourth grade has 93. How many, and this is the confusion last time, there's 4 teachers, not 5 in fourth grade, right? And how many teachers are there in second grade right now?
5.
And how many are there in third grade
4.
In
currently?
first grade, there are
Okay.
5.
Yes,
So there's
no.
98 coming up. And what's the standard for that?
So it's 98 current, but based on the 5-year or the 3-year averaging, it's predicted to be 103. So
What's the 21? Is the trigger 21?
the
per-
class size guideline in third
20?
is 20. And so if you take 103 students and
Got it.
divide it by 5,
There you are.
you are at 20.6. If you
Is it like
left it
that
at
across
4,
the board?
if you left it at 4, it would be 25.
But
So
I think
that's-
there's room in other positions that they can cut a teacher at another grade.
Yeah, how many grades have 5 teachers?
Yep, so let me walk through.
Keep in mind, K has 76 right now too.
Yeah,
That's what I'm wondering, it's just,
the same as third grade.
where I saw those numbers, so I've got those locked in my head. Remember, we had the
Yeah,
wrong
I
number.
agree.
So
So I'm having trouble
K
still.
has 4.
K has 4,
1 and 2 have 5.
1 and 2 have 5.
Look over
3
your
and 4
shoulder.
have 4.
Okay.
That's current.
3 and 4.
And we corrected that. So if you want to search in your drive for enrollment projections,
Yes.
you'll get the document.
Let's do that.
And that document,
Has the current
we
numbers on
shared
it.
at the last board meeting, or I don't know, maybe it was
Well,
on
what if
Saturday,
we,
No,
has the current number in
the
it.
one that's in, yeah.
So basically, looking at next year, and the projections, we're projecting staffing of 4, 5, 5, adding 1 to third for 5, and then 4 in fourth.
it's just those big classes are moving up.
That's right.
What if we add 1 position to the budget? And cover fifth, the potential for 5th grade or the potential for 3rd grade. I think 3rd grade is a given, right? We have,
20.
there's 98 in second.
So there needs to
this
be
year?
20, the trigger number is 104 for third grade, and they'll be there.
Is that right?
Wait, the trigger number for third grade is,
These are, right, this is last year's.
it's not 104. Let me get it for you.
The
And we
guide,
have that
It's
in
a
here.
hundred.
guideline was 20 kids.
So it's 100, 101?
Yeah, I mean, actually, let me just, here's how I can do it. If we leave it at 4,
It'd be 104.
if we leave it at 4, we're going to have 25.8 students per class when our guideline is 20.
20, right.
So
we need,
we have to have the 5th. That's why we're.
I
budgeting
agree with
for it.
that, but I don't know if I agree with all the other grades keeping the same number of teachers.
Well, what would you, the only one you could possibly change is first grade. I'm just saying,
We,
possibly.
I know,
Well,
You're not
so-
changing fourth grade.
no, they can't.
but if you, let's change first grade to 4. And now we have 22 and a half students in first grade.
There are 76 kids now
Currently.
currently.
In kindergarten.
And
So that would be 18 kids per class.
How many kindergartners were there last year?
no, but remember, we're
pick up-
predicting 90 because we pick students up every year.
Go
So-
How many,
first.
we only picked up 8 last year.
Based on historical data. So let's take a look at that. We had,
How many
make sure I'm
kindergartners
looking at the
last
right
year?
numbers. We had 81 kindergartners
81.
last year. We were predicting 90 and we opened with 90. So our
So added
prediction
9 kids.
of gaining 9 proved exactly spot on, accurate.
So if we add 9, we'll be at 85 and the trigger number is 84.
And
First grade.
we are predicting that we're going to be at 90 again. We're predicting that the 76 or 77 that we have now are going to turn into another 90.
So you're expecting 14 students over the summer?
But we're expecting, yes, or maybe not over the summer, Liz. I mean, we're already at 77. We may gain a few more. We may be at 80.
Which is what I said at the beginning of the year.
Might be 3 months in right now, so you're not
Yeah.
hiring a teacher like, and I said it before, like 6 months later, oh yeah, now we need it. It's not like last year. Last year it seemed like that for like the first week, all of a sudden like we were in trouble, right?
Yeah.
We were in trouble during the summer last year.
Yes, we were.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
like
So it's a little
Tina's
different.
idea of adding one position, but does it have to be 5th grade or 3rd grade or 1st grade?
Well, we have to put it in a budget section, right?
Just a position?
And this
You could put it
position-
in the district wide as a position and then allocate it.
I
as
put
you
it in
need
third
it.
grade.
It is an elementary position.
Mike, is this position, if it's hired, is it a 1-year position, it will follow this grade for 3 years as of right now?
Yeah, because then the same numbers will go up to 4th grade.
That would be
But
the
that's, I
case.
mean, it wouldn't be a 3rd grade, then we're gonna be asking for a 4th grade, I guess. It'd be
Yeah.
3rd grade,
Well,
well, 4th grade.
No, it
teacher.
probably would be.
Depends on enrollment.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
understand
very
that.
possible that
Yeah.
after like, if we're gonna be sitting here next year and putting a 5th, 4th grade teacher on, and we're gonna be right back to where we were 5 years ago when we started cutting teachers because we didn't need them. That's the thing. We're adding teachers when we need them, and we cut them when we don't need them.
So, Rob, looking at the projections, right? I want to make sure I trace this back correctly.
But I'm saying if we
Where is
stay,
that list?
98 are predicted to turn into 103. Well, 94 are predicted to turn into 99. So the idea that you would move that teacher along, then you're back to 24 students per class, and you're over your guideline of 20. So
Then why aren't we using this
Or add in
formula with
another
the
year.
8th grade? Why aren't we using this formula with the 8th grade? I think we should be consistent on our trigger numbers and everything like that.
we are.
But
Liz.
we're not cutting the 5th, 8th grade teacher.
No, we're not.
So
How
let's.
many are in 5th grade?
So
8th grade?
let's talk
Okay.
about it. So 8th grade, you first of all you have 25 as your class size, right?
Sorry,
I
missed that. Right now, you're at 94.
Thanks, Siri.
Okay.
Okay, so you gain 2 students. You're. it's
No, the
triggering-
trigger number is
25.
No, the trigger number
125
is,
kids.
yeah, 25, so that's 100. And there needs to be 26 in each class to be the trigger number, because that's how we did it in kindergarten. Why is everyone looking at me?
The staffing projection here has 110 for grade 8 for next year.
Yeah, but grade 8 has 5 teachers, so they can get all,
No, the staffing,
get all the way up to 125.
the projection for next year is 94 8th graders.
What am I looking at
I don't know.
then?
Where are you getting
1920, copy of enrollment projections, October 2019. It was on the Google Drive. Last edit was made October 19th by Michelle Flynn.
So that's that small class that started out this year with 80, or was projected to have 80, and now they have 89.
That's not projected.
Is that right?
Staffing projection.
As 7th
Yeah, but
graders
that's just
now.
last year and this year.
Is this the
So that's
October
not-
94. Okay.
Oh, right.
She's just looking at this
Right,
year.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
that would
So
be
they're
4
moving ahead.
teachers, and they're projected to have
Okay, I got too many comments.
Okay,
Say it
sorry.
one more time. Which
the current 7th grade.
current 7th?
So next year's 8th grade is projected to have how many kids?
So next year's 8th grade is projected to have 94.
So it's slightly under the trigger.
So what document are you
That's all,
looking at?
just slightly under. Oh
Enrollment
Why
report.
don't we use that for kindergarten then?
my God, you and your kindergarten.
No, I'm just saying, I want to be fair and consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes
No,
sense
we're
to
not,
have smaller
because-
class sizes with the younger grades because they are higher needs.
We would not even look at a fifth kindergarten teacher until we reach 76. That was the trigger number.
Isn't there a
I like this
difference-
whole
isn't there a
trigger number thing.
difference- Isn't there a difference in terms of like eighth grade and certification?
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
your
Eighth
subject
grades, they have to
certification,
be
you're not
certified in the
elementary.
subject.
But you can teach
But-
anything in the middle school.
Huh?
You can teach anything in the middle school.
Yeah.
Up to 8?
No, 5th to 8th, they should be able to.
Yeah.
Because not self-contained.
Well, and that's why we did the content literacy model with this year's 6th graders and 7th graders, is because the enrollment went down. So we cut a teacher and they had content literacy instead of a separate reading class.
And we don't have a trigger number in above 5th grade. So the link to the policy that has the trigger numbers in it has the kindergarten numbers laid out, grades 1 through 3 where it's 20 students per class,
Yep.
and grades 4 and 5 where it's 23, but we don't have it above 25 because it's a different,
So
there's
it's
different
23.
flexibility in terms of the way students move at the middle school.
And kindergarten's still under right now. They're at 15 per teacher.
What?
I think 16.
No, they're
There's only 4
18 and
classes
19.
That's 4. They're
and 20 in one.
Yeah, there's 20 in one class and 18 and 19. I just want to be, I'm all about equity.
No,
If
I'm
we're going
sorry.
to use
It
a,
would be 15 if you had a 5th one right now.
right, but wasn't your son's class at like 12? There was a year that there was a kindergarten class of 12. And that was Jack's year, wasn't it?
Right.
That's
That's
also
7th grade
half-day.
class right now. That was
Yeah.
small.
That's also a half day program where most
Right.
people go to private kindergarten.
Yeah.
We're in a different, it's a different world now,
Yeah.
in kindergarten here.
Okay.
I think we should use the same formula across the board.
We don't have to write the policy.
But I hear you. I absolutely hear you. And I lobbied hard for a 5th grade teacher when Graham was in 5th grade because I felt like that class needed a 5th teacher, and we ended up cutting it and we went to content literacy model, and because he had a small class size. That's just, and now we don't do that anymore.
So 7th grade only has 4 teachers then.
No, 7th grade has 5
4.
4.
because they doubled down in math.
No, I'm sorry, 7th grade has 5.
They do have 5?
Yeah, they have
Because of
5.
math.
And next year they'll have
Or-
81 students.
Next year, they're
93.
predicted to have 95.
We can 81.
They have 25 a class, that's what they have.
That's what they predicted for this year. They have 25 a class, right?
The class size policy is 25,
Right.
and they're at 18.8 this year, and they're predicted at 19 next year. So they're under the class size guideline. You could cut it to 4. They would be at 23.8. They would still be under their class size guideline. But programmatically, you're going to impact what they deliver by reducing that teacher.
So we have 4, according to this, we have 4, 4, and 5. 4, 4, 4, and 5.
So which motion are we on? I've lost track.
Third grade teacher.
I know. So Mike, I'm still not even sure what numbers to look at. I see a great grid from last year
Okay. Who's in
into this
grid?
year that says staffing
Are you
production
on the same grid?
Nobody's in the
projection.
grid with me.
I'm on
I think we're all
enrollment
looking at
projections,
different
October
numbers, and what I would love to see is just exactly what I'm seeing here for this year.
You can. Do you have the?
Which one are you in?
Liz has it over there.
The one I really like is it says copy of enrollment projections October 2019. It has the current it has the enrollment, it has the current staffing, it has the class size guide, and then it breaks out the average class size.
Thank you. Yep.
I had a smart idea.
Right. So that's
Soccer
not-
team's winning. Just like public
So I want
service.
Score.
2-0 at halftime.
That's only half.
Okay, so on the wall behind you, this
Oh my
is,
goodness, that's
this is the
tiny.
grid
You're
that
the-
we
you're the
we all
only one
want
who
to
can see it.
be looking at.
Tyra, so you can tell it.
I will. I can see it.
Let me take it up a notch.
on up
Ready?
there.
All right. All right.
Look at Liz moving
Yeah.
I want to see.
Walk the board through this. I mean, this is important. This is not, these aren't imagined numbers, right? So basically, we have enrollment, actual numbers of heads in every classroom going back to 2007. Here they are.
Tyra, is this what you were looking at? Let's go
Yes,
between
the graph
2019.
at the
All
left.
right.
Yes,
Okay.
this is exactly what I was looking at.
Based on last year's numbers, the 18-19 line, which is right here, this, can I highlight it? Yep, that row that's now highlighted in blue. We had made, remember we had Sugar Maple Consulting come up with a model for us, and they made these projections. So they said in 1920, this is what you would be projected to get. So what's in green is our actual October 1st enrollments.
Yep.
So they predicted 40 preschoolers, we had 41. They said 81 kindergartners, we had 76. They said 90 first graders, we had 90. 93 second grade, we had 98, et cetera, right across the board. These numbers were actually pretty close. They did a good job. So remember that that's because it's based on a 3-year model. So you look at where the class is, you look at what's happened over 3 years, and then you make a projection. We then have applied that same formula going forward. So for the next 3 years, we're projecting 40 in kindergarten, or I'm sorry, 40 in preschool. 79 became our new kindergarten number. Hence the reason we want to hang on to that 5th kindergarten position in the budget, because if 79 ends up being true, remember we had 81 the first time through, we have 76 this year, 79 is the average of those two numbers, that would trigger that 5th kindergarten now. And so here, this row right here, the 2021 projection numbers are what we're now paying attention to, right?
So then if you scroll down, you've brought that down.
So then,
right? now you have
and this shows the method, right? So basically, what did we have 2 years ago for a change? What did we have for a change this year? What's our total change? And then the average change rounded over that window of time. So then in this projection one, if you look, the enrollment number of 79, this just looks back up to that other chart. It says, what's the projection? What staffing do you want? What's the class size guideline that's in the policy? And then you take that and divide it to get your average class size. So our class size guideline is for 18. If we have 4 kindergartens, it would be 19.6. The reality is with 79, that probably ought to become a 5. And that's more like what your real number ends up being.
I think we need to delete, because the one I'm looking at shows 4 teachers for this year in 7th grade.
That's correct. Oh,
No, it's not.
no, that's not correct.
And we had, that's what's.
Yeah, that's
that-
where I'm all confused.
Because I look at these things and I get numbers in my head and it's hard to get me out of them. So this is enrollment projections, October 2019. Liz is on the one I'm on.
Yeah.
And it's not this one.
Yeah.
So I think when new stuff goes up, I think this needs to be purged out of there.
I completely agree.
Well,
Because-
why would we keep 4 here and have 5 here? It's the same number projected, or
Well,
the same enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? 94, 94, that class only deserves 4 and this one deserves 5.
it's a programmatic
It's
thing, Liz,
program.
because they have, what are they, doubled down in math in 7th?
Yes.
And what's the doubling in 8th? ELA?
Yeah.
No, they have 2 separate
Tech
teachers.
lit and.
Right, the tech lit.
ELA.
That's what's driving that.
But I think at some point we have to look at that and figure out if that model is working and if it's still necessary. You know, because we have years like this where we say, oh, well, you can have 101 kids in 6th grade, but you only get 4 teachers. But, you know, next year you'll get 5. You know what I mean? Like it's not tied to enrollment at some point. And maybe it needs to be.
I think this might be a good subject for Tom the next time he's here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe.
I was just curious why the fifth grade.
I mean, if we're
get the
basing
program.
our staffing on enrollment, then we need to base it on enrollment
Right.
across the board. And if we're basing it on programming, then we need to base it on programming across the board, because fifth grade and sixth grade also change classes. You know, they also have specialized classrooms. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing all the way up through. So why didn't the next year sixth graders, the class of 101, why don't they warrant a fifth teacher? Because now we've got
I agree.
25 and a half kids in.
Because the class size goes up it goes up to 25 by the guideline
In sixth grade?
in sixth grade. So this link right here in this sheet brings you to board policy.
Yeah.
And in that board policy,
I don't think that one's shared with us.
down here, you've got
I see.
I've
And I
never
think that
seen
makes
this
sense
before. Yeah,
when
me
it was,
too.
when 6th, 7th, and 8th were at LMS. But now that 5th grade is changing classes and the teachers are specialized, maybe they need to be included in that 6 to 8 total. You know, where the guideline is 25 kids. I don't know. I don't know if that's a discussion for tonight. In any case, I think we need to approve the
vote
third
on
grade
it.
I
teacher.
think it's a great discussion to have, and I
Yeah.
think not only like the next time Tom's here,
Mm.
but maybe we can like combine the two and also get curriculum here at the same time.
Mhm.
And that could probably answer all the questions.
well, Tom will be here at the next meeting.
And if we can get curriculum here at the same time and she can skip hers, because I think, there's all kinds of valid questions that are being asked right now as far as how we're like judging size. But I mean, that's what our policy is and that's what we're following right now.
Mike, I don't think we have this one. I don't think this one was shared with us.
That?
Yeah.
You just said you had it.
No, we have
Oh.
an
older
ones
version.
with the wrong numbers in there.
We have bits and pieces of that, but that's all in one document.
If you go into the last agenda,
It was there.
I
That's
think
what we're
this is
over.
the one. This is the one that we
Yeah.
went
But it's
over.
not, I can't find it in the folder anywhere.
So, I mean, one of the things that because we save these things as PDFs and then we get multiple copies of them and we need to, I mean, here's the number so we can share this.
Sugar maple.
Does anyone have any other questions?
All right. So the current number, because this is going to go to the budget committee, this chart, this is the one that we have to explain to them why we're doing it. And
Can you
so
just share that one with me real quick?
so you'll notice that it has the staffing change of 1 in kindergarten. I just made that adjustment because really the 79 would be above our 76 trigger number. So we have that in the budget. So that's why we're putting that kindergarten position in. And then we're back to this third grade number.
The kindergarten is in.
Yes, it's in.
Right.
Right. I just made it on the enrollment projection so it matches it because it was actually showing only 4.
So
It
the
was
position,
79, which is wrong.
I think they're gonna pick out that 94 and 94,
Right.
if I can see it. They're gonna pick on that 94 and 94
in what grades?
in 5th and 8th.
So
Who is?
This
But
94
because,
and this 94.
yeah.
Well, no, if you show them, they're not going to pick
But
on,
the budget committee would
This
be
is
more
the-
likely to cut.
they're going to pick on
for
these
in-
numbers.
Yeah.
They're not going to
add.
pick on they're going to pick on 19 and 18. Well,
Yeah.
19.
Right.
They're not going to worry about this. They're just going to look and say,
Mhm.
why do we have 19 here when we could? That's what they'll look at, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
we gotta
I mean,
vote on this one.
it's a difference between looking at bums in seats and what we're offering. So, but I make a motion, I guess, to approve the third grade teaching position. I think that's clear that
I'll
we need
second.
that.
Get
Further discussion?
off the screen.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Thanks, we have a third grade teacher. Next position is computer teacher. Part-time 50% to full-time. GMS.
Make a motion to approve the computer teacher to full-time.
Is there a second? I'll second the conversation.
I would like to move that position towards more of a tech integrator model. And I think in order to do that job the way it should be done, that individual position needs to be a full-time job.
Any other discussion?
Explain the difference.
So a computer teacher, in the way that we use it now, she teaches computer class. So it's a special on the rotation. Students go to computer class to learn how to use the computer. A tech integrator might teach groups of kids, individual apps and programs and things like that, but would also help teachers integrate technology into their classroom. So they would vet programs and, they would keep a pulse on what the teachers are using in, what they're working on in class and say, okay, I've got this great resource for you. You can integrate it like this. They'd be on hand to help kids log in and manage those, those.
Do our other schools have tech integrators or somebody serving in that role?
Our other schools have computer science teachers and tech integrators, I believe.
I don't.
Well,
No, they don't.
We don't have the.
They don't have
Amy
tech
Provincial does
integrators.
troubleshooting though for.
Who does?
Yeah, but that's not her.
Amy
in the
Provincial,
Learning Commons.
but she's a library, well,
She's a learning
she's a librarian media, learning commons person.
So
That's an old librarian position.
in a true tech integrator model, there's a person dedicated. It's really to support the classroom teachers. They're trying to do something with the project and they go in and support them with resources on how to do it. Because it's not effective. Some classroom teachers navigate it successfully because they're tech oriented and they understand it, but not everybody is. So having somebody available to bridge that is important.
The other
Don't have
piece
that
of it
model.
too, that in my vision anyway, is that position can also help with the transition from the library to a learning commons and make.
And why can't the
integrate
librarian be
technology.
the tech integrator?
Should be the librarian.
Exactly.
I agree.
Do you have to be certified to do that? A media
There's a-
specialist or
Well,
It's a tech integration
specialist?
certification you can
Yep.
get.
Is the tech integrator helping them find resources, or is it really, like, in my mind, just for coming from a corporate world, that would be an IT function if you don't know
No, it's
how
not-
to.
I mean, they also can do troubleshooting. So if, my class of first graders can't log in, they can, they might be able to help with that kind of thing, but it's more, oh, you're learning about sea turtles. So let me show you these resources that I found. And this is a game that you can play. And this is something the kids can do to record their work. And let's present your projects in this way. And just
friend
helping
does it
them.
in Bedford, and that's her job. She goes into
Yeah.
classrooms to support the teachers.
Yeah.
Can we utilize our librarian more in that direction?
No. These are
My understanding is the current librarian is not all that comfortable with that kind of
teacher's a
thing.
teacher. It's not. We're not.
Um,
We don't have
and
to
that's
learn.
just based
It's
on
not-
observations over the last 3 years. But
And they are different roles. I mean, so again, you talk about Bedford, there's a
Mhm.
full-time librarian.
And a learning commons
And-
person
and a
Yep.
tech integrator. Yeah.
and a tech integrator.
That's right.
All
Because they-
three positions
Yep.
in
It's-
every school, elementary school,
Wait, name the three.
Riddlebrook, Memorial,
No,
and
no,
Peter
Name
Woodburn.
the three positions.
There's a
It's not a new
full-time
position.
librarian.
Full-time librarian,
Yep.
And a
full-time
tech.
tech integrator.
Yep.
That's just 2.
Those are 2, and a computer, and Nicole,
IT? No.
No, Nicole's the tech integrator.
tech integrator, and a
And-
librarian. Is there a learning commons person too?
Learning Commons is a librarian.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So they're two distinct roles.
They really are different.
And honestly, there are.
But there are some
the
librarians that
librarians-
probably serve in those dual roles.
Some were, but some were very traditional with the library
I
partnership.
don't-
Okay.
And how many students in these schools in comparison to ours?
Right.
Same. In my school, it's
Yeah.
the same.
They have more money than we do.
But I think Tina's point of expanding the computer teacher doesn't mean that it's so that there's an extra pullout only, that, that allows somebody to be able to, at least on a part-time basis, they'll still have some
Right.
courses to teach because that is part of the special program, but can also provide the integration.
So she won't be
Services.
teaching computers as a full-time block. She'll be tech integrator part-time and a computer teacher well, it'll be one position.
That's
my
what
vision-
That's your
that's what's
vision?
being advocated. for,
Whether
yes.
whether or
Is
not
that
it actually
Scott's
happens.
vision?
Unclear.
So I think that this is written as a part-time to a full-time because he's envisioning it as
Adding
the
first and
fifth
second
special,
grade.
right?
Yeah.
To computers?
Because it fits the 5 class. There's 5.
They don't have computers at all now?
First grade does not. No.
But
I
they
mean,
have,
they use
but
them
they
in
have
the
Steam.
classroom. They have
Steam.
I'm not sure that they do anymore because
They do. I saw the schedule.
Okay.
They have Steam. So who teaches that? Is that computer based too? I'm just curious. I don't know what that is.
It's
They
a
do have Steam.
I guess it's a UA.
They all go to
created
different UAs and stuff.
special that they rotate through once a month.
Oh, I thought it was like computer stuff too.
I don't think so.
I don't know. So our vote is for a computer teacher.
That is the
That
vote.
is the motion.
That is the vote, and we can keep talking about how to implement that, what that looks like.
But I think
But you can't implement it if you don't have the position either.
right. I think it's a shame to have all the technology in the classrooms and have teachers who don't know how to use it.
I know at the high school, they teach each other and go to workshops and PD.
And
Professional
many of our
development.
teachers do that, and
Yeah.
many of the teachers do. But
That's
there
awesome.
are still some that
Is it part of the review process?
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
I don't know. I've been
can't take you
advocating for
seriously
that
with
for a
your
few years. so.
computer.
Any other discussion?
Do you have anything to discuss, Brian? Any comments?
That already mentioned as far as librarian, utilize the librarian more in that position as far as.
I struggle with this one for the same reason that
I mean, like you said, like, okay, we're gonna discuss sea turtles. Well, the librarian can like show them how to like find information
on sea turtles
while they're in there. Right.
I just struggle with, you have community members volunteering all the time. They can check out books. The librarian can be integrated, can be, I just have a tough time with this one. Having lived through, I'm sure Liz lived through it. It's just the integrated position is always tough because the class, when they go into the classroom teacher, if they're not totally trained, I find that to be really tough.
So devil's advocate, take my vision out of it and the vision of other schools. We will have next year probably 5 first grades, 5 second grades, 5 third grades, and 5 fourth grades, which means that we need a computer teacher who will teach grades 1 through 4, which means we need to expand that position to full time, or at least a 0.75.
Well, we cut library.
I see more and more schools are getting away from computer teachers.
I agree because they have tech integrators.
No,
No.
because the teachers know more. The teachers are up to date on the technology. I just struggle with this one.
Anyone have anything else? All's in favor of increasing the computer teacher at GMS from 50% to full-time, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained? Motion fails 1-4.
All right, so next we have a grounds position. So this is adding an additional person at 75% because we feel that we need to keep up with our grounds better. Frankly, there were a lot of pieces that fell behind this year.
We got a thumbs up about the fence being cleared at GMS.
Exactly, but that got cleared because
Looks beautiful.
It does look nice.
And just remind me, Mike, this will only be 2, right? If we add this one.
We currently have 1 full-time and 1 part-time. And so this would be a second part-time. Okay. And we're also we have summer help. So we're diverting some of that funding because we wouldn't need as much summer help if we have another guy.
But it was minimal dollars, correct, in savings for summer help?
It's minimal dollars, correct. But it's some help. And so more and more just keeping up with everything that we have outside. I mean, they get done. It's the kind of thing, it's like laundry. You think you're done with it, but then there's more in the
Never
basket.
ends.
You think you're done mowing the lawns, but they've been growing behind your back.
I'll make a motion to add a 75% grounds position. Where is it?
So that's no benefits or anything? I can't find the,
75% is salary as outlined.
okay, I can't.
I'll second.
So I'm sorry, what were you just saying about as far as benefits?
It's 75%, so it's just the salaries you see listed would be the cost.
Increase from what? This one's current, is this at 50% right now, or?
No, this is a new one.
It's under
So we
the
have
budget.
somebody at 75. This is the second 75.
I downloaded
And so the cost items are salary,
From your airmail?
salary plus the cost items that go with that. There were no benefits associated with that position.
So at what point does benefits kick in?
32 hours, which would be what, 80? 80%?
Thought it was, isn't it 35 would be LSA?
Oh, it's 30, that's correct. It is 35.
Oh, it's 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
35.
35.
All right, so it's just strictly salary. All right, so we have a first and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Aye.
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 Abstain. 050. Next position is custodian. Additional custodians was at the high school.
Yep. So at the high school, we're proposing to add this. If you remember, Corey had the chart showing how understaffed we are at the high school, the amount of square footage. And on top of that, it's our most heavily used building in the evening. So it's really hard to keep up with it. And our,
They're so
NEAC
pleasant up there, by the way. They're just a good group of people.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They work hard and they get a
Mhm.
lot done. But
They have
our
good
NEASC report had shown that there was, it wasn't being maintained. If you do the leveling that, I don't know where it comes from, National Custodial Association, we're not able to maintain the level of cleanliness there that we would anticipate. So we're proposing to add this additional custodian.
I make a motion to add a custodian at CHS.
Second.
Right? With discussion.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the only thing I'd bring up is I told Corey I worry with the third grade teacher. I worry with this one also. The budget committee's going to cut the dollars out and demand it be on a warrant just because of what they did with Troy's budget the other night.
It will be.
These are all warrant.
Oh, they all will?
Oh, I have a
This
note that
these aren't
it
warrants.
wouldn't be a
These are
warrant.
not
These aren't
warrants?
warrants.
Just
I have
so
a
you
note
know,
from-
The teacher's not a new position.
I
Someone's
understand that, but just based on the conversation I heard the other night, I have a feeling they'll cut it and demand it be on a warrant. But I've talked with you about this, Mike. I think this is needed for that school personally.
Is what?
I think this is needed for that school.
I think custodians need much more than a grounds person. I mean, I'd rather.
That school's used basically
The
what,
fact it came up in the
14
report.
Constantly.
12, 14, 16 hours a day, probably for different things.
Mhm. Yeah, he unlocks at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
The building locks up at 10, and there's people there.
And then there's this concert, whatever.
And how many custodians do we have currently?
There's 3 at night, 1 during the day. There used to be 2 during the day.
Is he going to be kind of
Oh.
what's the thought process with him? Kind of a swing
It'll be a
shift?
full-time
But day and
second
night?
shift.
Second shift?
Yeah.
Which second shift?
2 to 10.
After school.
2 to 10?
Why did we get rid of one?
They did. It was
Budget.
before. It was before my time. I think it was more political than just budget.
So let's say you get this position and you say right now it's 2 to 10.
Mhm.
What flexibility do you have to change the schedule to where you want
We can, as long as we notify them, we can change schedules.
What do you think, Brian?
it? Well, we only have one during the day.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's more of a need to have another one during the day.
Like
Could
a
it be a-
12 to 8 and
Yeah, I was just going
like
to say,
a
it could
12
be a
to 8?
flat.
I mean,
It's split.
One custodian, I mean, for the entire high school, like during the daytime, doesn't seem like much at all.
No, it's mostly emergent situations.
Mm-hmm.
You're not actually doing any. He's running around cleaning up.
So I'm saying, I mean, I would just possibly, reconsider like what time frame you're going to
Uh-huh.
utilize this person, especially when you have 3 people at night.
And I will say that I think Mike's on the right track cleaning a school, fixing what needs to be fixed. We got to maintain it once it gets where they want it. I feel strongly about this.
All right, so we have a first, is there any other discussion? We have a first and second. All those in favor of adding a full-time custodian at CHS, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Is that 500? The last position is a special ed facilitator. It's a full-time
This is a
position.
warrant.
This would be, yes. This would be a warrant because we don't currently have one. And Devin and I have had several conversations about how to get after this. As I've said before, she's pushed the limit with what she's managing. And our sense is she's put this into the grant position, right, for this year to try to get somebody to provide this support. There are other ways to maybe come at this, but for now, this is
So
This
this
is
would
the
be a
best
grant
proposal.
position?
she has put it in the grant for this year, the current year. I don't think we've hired anybody into that. So
There is a sixth CHS special educator in a grant position.
yes, there is. Yep, that's not that position though.
So is there a motion for a special ed facilitator?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the conversation.
Why do these positions keep failing with the town, and how is this gonna change that? Just to have that
So they-
discussion.
Yeah, so they keep failing as I understand it. I mean, they failed before I got here, but they keep failing
Yeah.
because people see it as an additional administrative layer that's unnecessary. What's not well understood is that Devin does way more than just administer and direct the programs. So, she's a case manager for out-of-district placements. She's handling truancy. She's handling foster. She's handling McKinney-Vento. There are a lot of legal positions that are on her shoulders. And keeping on top of all that is, in addition to then directing and hiring and evaluating and so forth, it's overwhelming.
Can
It's a
she
lot.
train one of the special ed teachers at the high school since they have 6 of them there?
Or any of the other schools.
To do what?
To do the homeless population or the outplacement? Because I don't know what their truancy. Do you know what I mean?
Right, was she?
Just to lighten her load. I'm not
Was
saying
she
no to the
already acting
position.
in the truancy role before that was assigned to her? Because that was assigned last year.
She
You
was
know, if
not,
she's
because
already overwhelmed,
We didn't have
maybe
one.
she should not have been assigned that.
we didn't have anyone. The challenge is that there's a lot of cross-referencing with, the special needs population. They're more apt to be the reluctant attendees, if you would. So, because you can have somebody else doing it and she's going to be there anyway because it's the student that she's working with. So, and you have to keep in mind that when she attends meetings as the LEA, she has the legal authority to bind the district to additional money. And so you need somebody who understands the budget, who's then participating in that. It's very easy for somebody who doesn't understand the budget to say, yeah, we can provide an out-of-district placement. You need somebody who gets it. being part of that.
Does she need to be case managing?
So that's a great question. The challenge is that because the cases she manages are out of district. So if you were to assign those to, say, a high school, okay, it's an out of district high school student. So one of the case managers, well, now you're pulling that person from the building to travel to attend a meeting and to manage that case.
But why not hire a case manager to handle our out of district placements?
Because every grade has one. Why does Campbell have 2 more than they need? I know Amy Paradise is doing a special population, but why do they have two more special ed teachers than the other schools. There's one per grade in all the other schools, if I'm not
I don't
mistaken.
know that that's true anymore.
What do you mean?
I think there are more at the other schools. I don't know how many.
I
there
think
are.
there's one seventh grade,
Four,
one eighth
four.
grade, one fifth grade, one
4,
sixth
4,
grade.
6.
But there's 4 at the high school, right?
There are 6 at the high school. 6 special ed teachers at the high school. That's why I was wondering if I know some of them are very qualified. And one's a grant position because it's not on the,
I don't know. I feel
Right, but it's only granted for 1 year, right?
but it's always on there because I asked about why there was only 5 listed when there were 6 and it's a grant position. But I'd like to see, I don't know. I think some of them could probably handle a little more work.
I'm
Even
only
if-
getting 5 though. Can you?
Can I name them?
Yes.
Don Parker.
Yep.
Ryan Keller.
Yep.
Wendy Langolier. Amy Paradise, the new lady we hired,
Kathy Oakes.
Jackie.
and
Jackie
Jackie.
Bodette.
6.
But Wendy Langolier is not just at the high school.
No, she's district wide.
She's district wide.
As a special educator?
Yeah, because and she's not a case manager. She does have a few cases that she manages, but I run into her
Is she
all
a
the.
reading specialist?
So let me get her exact title. I don't.
Because
have her
she's
off
under
top
the,
of my head.
she's under
But I-
the high school budget.
But
believe.
but I see her often at GMS.
Oh,
So she's,
that's fine.
yeah, she's across the district. So the high school has, really, it's 4, 1 per grade.
Right, and then
And
that
then
makes sense.
Amy has a specialized program, which most high schools have. So
Right.
it's not unusual.
Right, that makes sense.
I wrestle with this one because I think if, we hire case managers and special education teachers based on need. And we can do that. It's fluid, right? So when needs go down, we reassign. When needs go up, we hire more case managers.
But do we know what their caseloads are?
Well, if we just hire somebody to take her case, her cases and manage her cases, then it doesn't need to go in a warrant, right?
It would not be a new position. It would be a case
not.
manager based on need.
Yeah.
I think that would be the right.
My fear is that we put this on the ballot again. It's a different role, and I'll promote the hell out of it because I think it's a
It's
critical.
not going to
need,
pass.
but it's not going to pass.
No.
Well,
She clearly,
She does need help, and I know we all feel strongly about that, but I don't know if a warrant article for another administrative position is
That's how
the
people
way
are
to go
going to
ahead.
see it. I do.
Thoughts, Brian?
I'm thinking the same thing. I don't know if we can utilize in-house and try to redirect some of their attention to like some of the areas that she's struggling in. You know that for some reason, and that's one thing about the core people who come through deliberative and just have a really difficult time as far as like adding positions
Yeah.
to special ed.
Yeah.
This
Special ed.
this kind of position.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I think
It's
what we ought
always
to do
been
is,
like
is
that.
like step back and how can we utilize the people we have? And if we have to add a case manager, then we add a case manager, but I don't necessarily think a specialized position, another specialized position within is the right answer. And like you said, we're just going to get beat up at deliberative and then from there, it just doesn't fly.
I think it does come down, the voters have spoken numerous times, numerous times.
I want her to be able to be a director and not a manager. Does that make sense?
Agreed. So I think part of what she's struggling with is that if you hire a case manager, you're putting a position in the bargaining unit. You're then taking that person, and sending them out to placements that are worth $100,000 or more.
Yeah.
And you've got somebody binding the district to that because they have to arrive authorized to make those decisions.
Do we ever turn out placements down?
I was just going to say, it
Because
seems like we're letting everybody
14
go.
is a lot for this district.
We manage it. There, if it wasn't being managed, you'd have more than 14.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, I just struggle with this one.
but that's where I think that's what Devin is
I know.
wrestling with because you've got to have somebody who goes and represents and understands what they're doing. And it's very different than a case manager running a meeting in the school with an LEA sitting there. That's two different.
Well, I wonder if some of our more experienced case managers she'd feel comfortable with in that role, or if there are professionals that maybe want
Well, it's just, I
That
struggle.
part-
Not even
Part-time
necessarily
work.
that role. Maybe like Devin continues on with that, but then the other case managers then take on some of the responsibilities that Devin has taken on upon herself.
Right.
And it's
Truancy.
just, you can go back to like the whole LEA thing. It's just, to me, we have people sitting in on all these meetings that a clear guideline, this is where you can go. If you're not there, you have, 30 days
Yep.
to reconvene the meeting with Devin or, I think she's doing too much. It just, we have case managers to manage the case. If they need speech to text, get speech to text. If you need a district replacement, put this meeting on hold. We need to research this. We'll get back in 30 days. It's just, very clear guidelines. That's why I struggle with this. I think it's management of it, not more people in some instances.
If there are reasons our case managers aren't able to do that, then we need to
Look at our case managers.
Do what?
to
Handle
serve
truancy.
as an LEA, and I don't, like Rob was saying,
I don't know.
Any more discussion?
do we have to vote on that one? Why? Because it's a warrant. I thought we could wait on warrants.
We don't have to give them the warrants right now. But if you want to hold off on voting on it and think about it, you can.
Well, that's a motion on the
think the
table.
question right now is whether to put this in the budget.
Oh.
And so I think we should vote on that because we have to have a budget number for the budget committee tomorrow night. So if you want to reserve whether to put it in the warrant down the road, we can do that. But I think we should at least know, does Corey need to add it in?
Is there a motion and a second already?
Yes.
There is.
Because we had discussed it. I'm
Yep.
so tired.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, that's where this thing is now.
It's the last one.
Then
Special ed
non-public.
facilitator, if you call the question.
I don't remember that report. The form is,
What form?
what we're looking at.
It's the
Budget documents.
It's up on
Sideways.
Corey's. Where's Corey's?
But the transfers year round.
Do you want this, Brian?
Sorry.
I got mine from our budget day.
Oh, what's that? Was it
Yeah.
that one?
Brian, do you want that?
No, I was reading it. That doesn't matter.
No, that's not, this is the wrong link. We had to get it through the,
Yeah.
right, anyway.
So just to recap, if she was able to get additional help through a case manager, that is not something that we need to vote on.
It would be because that'd be going into the budget.
It would be. Okay.
So is the motion on the table now to put this into the budget?
No,
It's to approve it as a warrant?
correct.
I think it's the opposite.
I think it's for the budget.
Put it in the budget.
This is to put it in the budget.
I thought this is the position is going to go on warrant.
So because it's a facilitator, it would have to be a warrant, correct? But
Yeah.
what I'm hearing the board say is that an additional case manager, which would not have to be a warrant.
Right, but that's
Would
not
be
what's being,
more-
that's not what we're voting on right now. That's not the request. Right now, again, I don't have the thing, so.
Yeah, that would totally change all the numbers for another case manager would jack that way up.
Right, so I think what the vote is right now is putting this on the warrant.
Why would it jack that up? Because it would be,
Because it would be full-time and it would have benefits and it would go
would it
to,
have to be full-time?
Nope, it wouldn't have to be full-time. We could hire a 75%,
It would even
50%.
help.
At a district, I can't remember, she had a number, what was it, 16 at a district?
She said 14, and then you were talking about 3 more.
Yeah.
Out of district.
So, 16 out of districts, I don't think is a full-time. I don't think. Because you're not directly overseeing the delivery of services like you are in the building. They're not a district. The school
Right.
is doing that. You're just
Right.
coordinating that, so it's different.
Okay. So do we amend the motion on the table? How do I make it say that we're put that in the budget as a case manager?
I think we had a board on this.
We
and
vote on
then
this and
Have a
then
discussion if you want to add
renominate.
something into the budget afterwards.
Got it.
You should vote on this as proposed,
What
I
it is,
guess.
correct.
I'm
It's a
confusing
warrant
us all, but-
article.
Right.
Okay.
So we have a first and a second as far as adding a full-time, what's it called?
Part-time
Special ed
Part-time.
facilitator.
Part-time.
I'm sorry, part-time special ed facilitator at CHS.
Is this
No,
a part?
that's-
Wait a minute. Now I'm confused.
Okay, it is part-time.
I think you should withdraw the motion and just make a new motion. Because is that full time or part
No,
time?
it's just special ed facilitator, which is budgeted part-time.
Okay.
So I think you're voting on the special ed facilitator
Yes.
position, which happens to be part-time.
So all those in favor of hiring a special ed facilitator signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained? Yeah. Motion fails 050. Now, if someone wants to make a motion to add another case manager or whatever position in dollars into the budget, that's a different.
Now, is this to make it, is this to go on the warrant or to go in the budget?
It failed.
This would have been going into a warrant
Going to.
because that's a new position. That's why. That failed.
So nothing's going on the warrant for that.
All right, so I'll make a motion to add 48,563.95 to the special services budget for a case manager or
You could.
add a district
Whatever
case
that
manager
represents
or-
in hours.
or however Devin sees fit to use that position.
I'll second. I'll ask, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion fails. 2-3.
2-3. That's the end of the new position list.
I can put my thing back.
Turn my computer back around.
So now we're on to warrants.
Oy. I closed my laptop though. I thought we were done.
Silly.
It's only 9 o'clock. We're not done. Oh my God.
It's only 9 o'clock.
Can I,
We got 2 more hours, don't we? I had my Diet Coke.
So just a quick summary on the budget now that we have that done. Corey will crank those numbers through. We'll print documents off tomorrow. Tomorrow night's our first opening round with the budget committee. Just to remind the board, I'm just curious, who's coming?
Well, we need to vote on this, correct? On the budget? We haven't done it yet?
No.
I'm getting you finalized numbers now.
How many nights are we going
Mike,
to
I'm
be
gonna-
doing this, Mike?
I'm going to be here, but I'm going to be
You
late
might-
because I have parent teacher conferences. You said it's okay.
Yep.
Because it's just presentation, so I don't have to be there.
Is it-
You already seen them.
I shouldn't be
Yes.
more than a half hour late.
But you've seen the
You
presentations.
want us there?
I'm curious who is planning to come tomorrow.
Do we have to be there?
No? No. So,
I
so
cannot
here's
be there.
here's the way we're going to do it. You've already seen this, right? So
Yep.
I just want to remind the school board, we spent an 8-hour Saturday
Mm-hmm,
going line by line through the entire budget.
correct.
We then came back to a special school board meeting that I think started at 7 and ended at 11. So it was
Yeah.
another 4 hours
Yeah.
going through it. We just spent, I don't know, I lost track of time, another hour tonight.
An hour and 10 minutes.
So we've got a lot of time invested in this, right? So
Mhm.
now we're going to turn this over to the budget committee because we got ourselves backed up by this e-finance upgrade, which, by the way, is still driving us nuts, to be honest with you. There are still things going on with it that are not perfect. So at any rate, the budget committee is going to get the budget tomorrow night for the first time. I think there are budget committee members who are frustrated by this.
I understand.
But again,
Yes.
we're pushed back by the upgrade.
But there are no presentations tomorrow. There's no discussion as far as.
It's
Nope. So
presentation.
tomorrow night, I'm going to go and do my overview.
Mm-hmm.
Corey's going to do his overview with all the charts and everything. We're going to walk in, we're going to hand binders out.
Right, and then they'll have that for a week to.
That's
go through.
correct.
And they don't have to go through the entire budget because they're going to just go through the sections that will be discussed the following meeting.
That's right. And then Devin will be there to walk through the special services budget. Mary's going to be there to walk through the curriculum budget, and Jason will be there to walk through the tech budget. So they're
Tomorrow
going to
night.
they're going to get all that tomorrow night when they get the budget. And then the first item on the agenda the following week is follow-up questions for special services, curriculum, and tech.
So they'll be back again the following
If
week.
they need to be, they'll be back, or I will take the questions if I need to,
Oh, that's a lot.
right?
Mhm.
So there's been some expression from the budget committee about adding additional meetings, but I've looked at it that, if we have, there are 5 3-hour meetings already on the calendar, which is 15 hours, which exceeds the amount of time the school board spent with the budget.
Right,
So
right.
I feel like there's enough meetings already scheduled, and we'll point that out that, we then would have 30 hours of 2 citizens groups going line by line through our budget, which is
I have to say, she
tremendous
sent
amount
out
of
an email
time.
today. I'm dead against it because if you schedule more meetings,
Mhm.
that's just more time to waste.
You're gonna
We
use
have
them.
stuff
You're gonna
going
use it, so
on.
you
We have other
schedule
stuff
meetings.
going on too.
I don't want to go back to what we were years ago.
That's
Not
exactly what they're
years
doing.
ago.
It's,
Right.
that's what's happening.
And, we finally streamlined it between Cindy, myself, and other reps. And it's, okay, we can do this in that amount of days, and we can.
3 days.
We just need to stop talking about things that aren't related to the budget and get through it. If not,
And I think you might have asked the question, Rob, at the last meeting, can we just do like a bottom line cut? No, the budget committee, it's going to be in their hands. They're going to make the cuts where they want to.
oh, no, I didn't say bottom line.
Line by line?
I said, give your lines in a dollar amount.
Right.
And then if there's discussion, you go back and do them one by one. But 75 here, 125 there, you get to the bottom and say $1,500 and you spend an hour, just do it as a bottom line. But it is what it is.
All right, so that's our plan, but I want the board to hear it here because there will be frustration. I've already had frustration expressed to us, but it's the reality of the situation.
But I
So
think-
it is what it is.
Well, and we were frustrated too when we received the budgets the day before our budget session. I mean, it's the reality, like you said, it's the reality of the situation. It's due to the software problems we've had and.
And they'll get it a week ahead of time.
All right, so the draft warrant, just to walk the board through. So basically, you can see the language at the top for the first meeting. We don't know whether we're going to present on Saturday the 1st or Saturday the 8th. We have to get that. I don't know who sets that, town or.
Usually we're second.
It's kind of a joint thing, but it all depends on legal counsel when they're available.
So one of those will be our deliberatives. One of those Saturdays, the other will be the town, and we need to get that figured out, I guess, and then we'll fix it. So then the second session of the annual meeting is on Tuesday, March 10th. That's the normal voting day. So Article A, this year we are electing a school board member to a 3-year term, a school district clerk to a 3-year term, and a school district moderator to a 3-year term. So we need to vote on those positions. We're reserving Article 1 as the budget warrant. You can see the language there. Still waiting to fill in dollar amounts and calculate default and all of that stuff. So that'll come down the road. Article 2, right now, we're holding for a collective bargaining agreement with our support staff. So we're optimistic that we'll have something to put in front of the voters on that day in March. So we'll hold Article 2. Article 3 is a proposed warrant to authorize the school board to hold a special meeting if Article 2 fails. So that's the warrant that, some feedback has come to the board about why didn't you do this with the teachers and avoid having to go to court and so forth. And I think the board has to wrestle with, if we have a collective bargaining agreement, then do you want to ask this? Because frankly, if Article 2 gets voted no and Article 3 gets voted no, you lose your ability to go to court and ask for a special meeting or to articulate that there's an emergency because the judge would look at it. Well, you asked the voters, they said no. So I'm not going to grant it.
I don't even know this. This is horrible. I'm negotiating. What's the drop dead date for having an agreement?
I think it's January 10th.
Okay.
There's a legal date, and I think it's January 10th.
Okay. Thank you.
So the board will have to figure out whether you want that Article 3, but we gave you draft language of what it could look like. And this is very drafty language. It's just conceptual, right? So Article 4, this is where we're asking about raising and appropriating a sum of money to be added to the operating budget for the purpose of funding a feasibility study to look at the possibility and costs of either new construction and or renovation of existing facilities. So as capital planning is sort of gelling around its work, asking, we need to do more than Mike and Michelle saying, oh, that would cost about $4 million with a wave of the hand. So we would have to, if it's something that we are projecting to do, then we have to have somebody give us better numbers and better cost calculations.
And that couldn't come out of year-end funds.
You could add into that to be funded from a fund balance.
So I
this
think
year.
that the X don't represent the total amount of dollars that it can go up to, correct?
No. We're not spending
$9,000
on that because the feasibility would
That's
be.
inappropriate. All those X's.
$10,000.
Would that hurt us if we did it that way, Mike?
Would it what?
Would that hurt the district to do it that way as far as the amount of money it would cost if we did it out of year-end funds?
Not necessarily.
Are we planning to have a lot of year-end funds? Because I also think we need an article to replenish the special services fund, capital reserve fund,
That's a good point.
and the
It's way too far out to even start speculating what we're gonna have left.
right. But I think we will need to do that.
Yep.
If we're already spending that this year, and then I feel like we should also have more money put into the capital reserve fund.
there are rules about which capital reserve. You mean the special ed one,
Building.
or
No, the buildings.
Right.
Capital reserve.
And I think there are rules about the way you fund these. Like you have to list them in a certain
Yeah.
order, and I'm not sure we have them in the right
Yeah.
order yet.
Yeah.
So
Depending on the order they're in, that's
How they can
how
fund
much
it.
is left over at the end of
Right.
the year. That's how they can fund it.
Oh, I see.
You fill up
So-
one bucket before you go to the next bucket.
Would that impact? So Article 5 has to be at the top then, right? The one we have listed as Article 5?
Well, we don't know if we're
No.
gonna have Article
No,
5.
operating
Well,
budget has to be first.
No, well, not first, but I mean first out of the, would want that one out
Year-end
of the
funds,
year-end
yeah.
funds, right?
Let's discuss the order when you get to the
Yeah.
point.
Mhm.
So the Article 5 that's on here is for that kindergarten education expendable trust fund.
Mhm.
So that would park the money, and again, we'll have to figure out exactly how we want to do that. But conceptually, it would be, the money would then be set aside for when it occurs. And, if you want to put what do you call it, expiration date or whatever, it'll be closed on this date with any money returned back. And then the last thing at the bottom just says staff positions, question mark. We weren't sure what we were going to come up with tonight. So
Did we
we're just kind
approve
of
any?
holding that. We didn't approve any, I don't believe.
No.
So
All right then. But yeah, I would recommend. Do I make a motion, or is it just a draft at this point?
it's just,
No,
what do you want to see happen with it?
I want to add a warrant article to replenish the special services fund and the capital reserve fund.
They have to be the same one or two separate?
Two separate
They're two
ones.
separate ones. But you don't know the number for special ed right now either.
No, but it looks
Capital
like that's
reserve,
going to be
you say
gone.
You want to put $50,000 in there, whatever.
Way more than that.
And we added a third grade teacher, but that's not a warrant article.
No,
That's in the budget.
So hopefully Devin, as we get a little closer, can have a little bit more of a dollar amount that she may be losing if she has to use her fund.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. She's already tapped into it this year, I believe.
So once she uses that up, she has to go into her other budget with the operating budget for special ed
Mhm.
for outplacement.
And she's already over, so that means it really comes from somewhere else. Right.
Regular
Special ed budget's already tapped.
tuition and transportation are already both in the red by at least $50,000 to $60,000.
So she's gonna have
And
to
we're
get it
in
from another part
November.
of her budget.
But those are the main parts of her
Yeah.
budget. I mean, she doesn't have that kind of money in any other line, so unfortunately. So that's an early glimpse at the warrant. We wanted you to have it, just so you had some sense. All right.
Any questions on the manifest?
Oh, I did. 18,190 to Christy Leclerc for transportation. Is that special ed? I'm just.
That's Caring Hands special ed transportation out of New Boston.
Oh, okay. All right. And then what is O'Neill Consulting E-rate funding? About $5,000.
It's
E-rate.
definitely, if it's E-rate, it's It's tech. It's funding we get through.
I saw that one
like
too, and I
electrical
didn't know what it
rebates
was.
and
O'Neill Consulting.
that kind of stuff.
So it's
Say that again?
adding, we're paying them or they're,
We
So-
pay them to calculate the E-rate funds that we get.
Every
We
time you
pay-
pay your
for
phone bill,
utilities.
you can see the E-rate tax. And that money is then made available to public schools to help with infrastructure upgrades for technology, basically. So I don't know who O'Neill Consulting is. No relation
Not
to
this
the
at all.
former superintendent, though.
so we're paying somebody to tell us how to spend our money?
No, we're paying somebody. It's almost like MSB does for
Okay.
Medicaid. It's somebody that
Okay.
we pay them to get us money.
Oh, I like that.
But they get us more than we pay them.
Yeah, that's my
I would hope
question.
so.
Yeah.
It's grant money, right? So
Okay.
you're
Okay.
basically,
Okay.
it's not an
That's
entitlement.
exactly
They don't
where I
just
was
say, well,
going.
this field, you get this certain amount. You have to apply for it based
I
on
see.
what.
Okay.
So it helps to
question,
offset.
As long as we're bringing in more than we're paying now, we're
And
doing okay.
yes, we are.
All right. Okay. Thank
I
you.
think it's probably a percentage. They probably take it.
Um,
Do we have a final budget number yet?
Wait,
I'm working on it.
Okay, I'm
He's
not
typing furiously.
I'm sharing it with you in like 2 seconds.
I just wanted to get it before. we
So it's
went
going to be
non-public.
my summary of all budget activity line by line, the things that have changed, and at the very bottom, it's a breakout of general fund food service with the total.
Just make sure it comes to us not sideways.
Well, this one's going as a sheet, so you get it normal.
Somebody, maybe you should have Jason tell us how to rotate Google Docs.
There probably is a way.
I downloaded
You know what?
it
He's
and
watching
twisted
this
it.
at home and he's like,
Yeah. He's watching everybody turn their
No,
laptops.
you know what? I downloaded
Ryan's
it and I
spinning like a
twisted
top over
it. You can't,
Rotating around.
if I
It's a
could do it.
Google Doc, that's a PDF. You cannot rotate it. I've been on the forums. You have to download it and then you can rotate.
If I can figure it out, you two can figure it out.
Well, while we're waiting to go into non-public, for the audience who's listening, Liz, good news.
Yes.
The boys won,
Yay.
Soccer. On
nice.
to the final round.
which will be played.
I don't know, hopefully closer than Macomb.
Saturday.
Oh, it's in
Saturday. in
Is
Laconia.
it Saturday?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Or wait,
Who
it
did
might
we
be
beat
Sunday.
tonight?
Is
I
it
don't
Sunday
even know.
or
Who
all the
did we
girls
beat?
Sunday? The
Who
girls.
played tonight?
I saw the, please hold. It's on my band. So football in the afternoon playoffs and soccer in the afternoon. Oh, wow. Soccer.
Find it here. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
So I just
yeah.
make a Brian, do you just make a motion?
He just walked.
They played Mascoma Valley
Let's go. Yeah. that's it.
Nascoma.
and then Hopkinton versus Messinic, but I don't know who won there.
Hopkinton had to win.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
They're really good at lacrosse too.
Do I just make a motion to approve? Is it $22,988,316?
Did he just email it?
You just emailed. I just
Oh.
just got it.
I looked
I
at
was
the
wondering why he
wrong
walked out.
document.
So he-
Yeah, I did too.
Wait,
I
wait a
need a
minute,
print
wait a
too.
Can you say that?
$22,988,316, I believe.
316?
Oh, wait. That's reconciled budget. That's not what I want, right? I want total budget. I'm sorry.
I gotta find the document.
He-
Oh, there it
he
is.
said He said it was at the bottom.
Ha.
Yeah, it's at the bottom. Now, do I go with the higher or the lower one?
Let's ask them.
Corey, is it the left, the higher, the 24 or the 23 million? But I want to make the motion.
Better not be the 24 million.
It is.
Okay.
That's it.
Make a motion to approve
Just added.
$24,178,405.
How many dollars at the end?
405.
That's total gross appropriation.
$24,178,000.
And how much is that up over last year?
3.69.
Oh, that. Okay, got
That's with,
it.
Why does it say
Okay.
3.49?
3.4.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was up.
$56,000.
I'm turning the cell
Last year.
yellow.
Sorry.
There.
So you made a motion, Rob?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Made that yellow.
What's that?
Mine went yellow too.
Who's highlighting things? Wasn't me.
I did.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, I need color. I need color in my life.
Any discussion?
no.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I.
Opposed, abstain.
Now this, of course, I'm asking, this doesn't take into account any changes to the state funding yet, right?
What's that?
Does this
That's
take
on the
into-
revenue side.
Okay.
I have that, in the equation. I just don't have that sheet that I use for that is in Excel and it's on the drive at work.
So with no one here from the community, we'll go into non-public RSA 91-A:311. I'm not reading.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I don't feel like it.
Frank, excuse me.
So when I,